Good morning. It's 6:01 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Happy draft day to all of those who celebrate. Tune in tonight at 6 p.m. right here on 104.5 The Zone after 3HL to hear Titans Radio's award-winning coverage of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. You can hear every selection and analysis, including the Tennessee Titans' #1 overall pick, that you can't get anywhere else, with Rhett Bryan, Amy Wells, Ramon Foster, Coach Dave McGinnis, and the introduction of the new voice of the Tennessee Titans, Taylor Zarzour, live from the Titans draft party at Nissan Stadium. And over the night, the Tennessee Titans made a pre-draft move. They signed veteran wide receiver and former Seattle Seahawks Tyler Lockett to a one-year, $4 million deal that's worth up to $6 million per multiple sources. Lockett has played his full 10-year career in Seattle to this point, amassing 8,594 yards, 61 touchdowns on 661 receptions, which included 4 1,000-yard seasons from 2019 to 2022. The 32-year-old was the first-team All-Pro as a returner in 2015 and made his lone Pro Bowl back in 2016. Last season, Tyler Lockett had 600 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns on 49 receptions and playing in all 17 games. In other NFL news, the Detroit Lions and All-Pro safety Kirby Joseph agreed on a 4-year, $86 million contract extension, making Joseph the highest-paid safety in the NFL. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you have to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on the home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A huge day in the history of the Tennessee Titans begins on your Thursday in the Music City, a day where dreams around the National Football League begin to come true, and the dreams of Titans fans of having a franchise quarterback could come true today as well. Welcome to Draft Day, Round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft from Green Bay, as we get you ready for Cam Ward to become a Tennessee Titan. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Justin Hawkins, our producer. I am Will Bowling. It is Thursday, April the 24th. Draft day is here, and the Titans have a new receiver. Yeah. Good morning.
I do. Woke up to that because I was sure as heck not awake last night at that time. So that was fun to wake up to. I know there's probably varying opinions on that, but glad to see a veteran in there. I think they still need to make more moves in terms of getting younger bodies in that room, but another guy that they could probably help, get Cam Ward settled in.
Hey, here we go. Look.
Tyler Lockett is the player you are referring to.
Hey, here we go.
Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I know. I woke up to that. I was like,
I have draft straight on my mind right now, like legitimately. And also, there's another player that seems to be falling too in the draft. The just conversation about non-conversation with him that's continually popping up on my algorithm. I'm not sure it's because I said it yesterday on air, but Mason Graham is starting to get knocked big time going into today, which would suck. He's been the number 5 overall pick for months now, and right now he's sliding in the top 10, but he's sliding at this point.
Yeah,
so,
he is.
What a day. We're finally here.
Thank goodness.
Tyler Lockett will be in his 11th season as a Tennessee Titan in 2025. He will be 33 years old on September the 28th and comes off of a season last year with the Seattle Seahawks where he played all 17 games, started 14 of them, and added 49 catches on 74 targets for 600 yards. In 2023, a streak of 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons came to an end for him with 894 yards in 2023. He has played in at least 16 games every season since 2017. One time in his career has he played less than 16 games. That was in 2016 with the Seattle Seahawks when he had 41 catches for 597 yards. At the very least, guys, this is an upgrade on Tyler Boyd. that the Titans just added as a veteran wide receiver late last night.
Good signing, too. Not just that, but you got the middle of the field, a guy that can get you the mix match. I'm not sure what this means for a guy like, if they even had him on their radar, Xavier Restrepo. But what you do get is veteran help, man. We've been speaking about that, I feel like, for like the last couple of years with this squad. This was a great addition. I personally saw this guy take a drag route about 60 yards against us in Seattle one time, okay? I've respected his game for a very long time, but not just that. He knows his role that he has to play, but even better than that, this helps opens up what you hope to be more for Calvin Ridley, right? You got different variations of things that you need offensively for him. You got Calvin, you're down the field. You got your cross-the-middle guy. Right now, we'll see if they do something in the draft, too. That may be a foreshadowing, too, to what's to come in the second round. Who knows tomorrow? But this, to me, from the conversation they had back in February at the Combine, seems to be they have studied what offensively they're doing offensively what the Washington Commanders did defensively, getting a bunch of 1 years, older guys that can help reset what your team is. Smart move is what I'll say right now. What he does over the course of the season, heck, that's up to him and his quarterback and the offense.
Right. You're not signing him to some long-term deal. I mean, it's something that you bring him in, you see what he can do, you see if he can help the young quarterback. He'll bring the veteran presence as well, another body in that room that's he's well respected, obviously, around the league, but being with the Seahawks that long, you hear nothing but great things coming out of that locker room about him as a pro.
Always have.
So it'll be a good addition. And I love the part that Will brought up too. It's been a theme with the Titans too, and who they've signed is the durability factor.
Yep. Gotta have that, man. But what you like is guys that have come from organizations that have won football games, who have been a part of those organizations for years too. Tyler Lockett, I've liked. I actually brought him up, I feel like, earlier this offseason. Somebody should have your eyes on, but still.
It's good to
see. $4
see.
million? I'll take it.
Does Tyler Lockett change your draft thoughts about where the Titans are going to go this weekend at all?
100%.
Really?
Early?
Surprises me.
Because, again, naturally, we've been talking about Cam Ward, one, and then a wide receiver. And then the plethora of wide receivers. Luther Burden is there. I mean, do you still take him or do you go defense at this point? Like, Tyler Lockett doesn't solve all problems.
Right.
But it can at least say, well, if we can't get the wide receiver because there's better value at an edge or whoever in round 2, then he at least gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that he can play ball for you and still make plays. Now, the issue that you have is if it's Luther Burden or Mecca Ibuka. Like, that's a hard decision to be made for a guy that's on a 1-year deal, though, also.
I think I'd still do it.
But it eases me
Still do
over
what?
if they pass on a wide receiver in the second.
Yeah, and take a wide receiver if it's Ibuka or Luther Burden. But and that's where their whole draft board thing comes into play, that they've talked so much about, like, where these guys are on the board. And I think that if those two are on the board, again, I'm not in that room, I don't know, but I would see them pretty highly rated still there if they were at 35. But if those two are gone and the edge is right there and they've got a receiver maybe a little bit more down, they're probably going to take the edge.
Yeah, Luther Burden might be highlighted in red based off the off-field stuff for all we know.
Yeah, and that's
there's no way to know what they think about him, off the field. It feels like Ibuka you would take at 35. I doubt he'll be there. But Burden, I have a little bit more skepticism about, even though that would be my first choice of anybody who could possibly fall to you. I do think it does allow you to not be beholden to your needs. And it does match up with what Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker said when they talked to the media earlier this week. You often make mistakes in the NFL draft when you draft based on need. And if, again, like we said yesterday, if you've got on a scale of 1 to 10, a guy with an 8.0 grade at edge rusher versus a guy at 7.0 at wide receiver, if the gap is that significant, then you should just take the edge rusher. If all things are equal, I would imagine you would take the wide receiver. But what if all things aren't equal, right? Like, that is when you make mistakes. That's when you end up with, respectfully, picks like Treylon Burks. When you create a need for yourself and then immediately try to fill it in the NFL draft. It's not always that simple. So I like it. At the very least, Tyler Lockett is a more than serviceable wide receiver 3. He is another guy that can come into this room and teach a lot of young players how to be pros. And he's available. Durability is important to this front office.
It is not just that. One thing I've always liked about him as of late, not that I liked about him, but he found something that works for him. His ability to catch and just get down, save
And
himself.
fall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Titans fans, don't get upset.
Yes.
It's for him, and I guarantee you more times than not, he's moving the chains, too.
Maybe he can teach Traylon Burks how to fall.
I was
I'm
just
not
gonna
even
say
kidding.
that.
Not even trying to make a joke.
No.
There is value in learning how to fall as a football
agree.
player.
No, it is. Trust me. Like hitting the ground, like we worked on those drills, like at times. But the other part too is this. I think they're trying to be smarter this time around, knowing that Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick, of having a guy that he can pitch and catch too. Like
Yes.
if you look at his tape with Geno, also like his pitch and catch with him, his ability to just, hey, where are you at? I'll find you. Get down. Like it is it'll be hopefully it's fun watching what this offense turns into now with a guy that's. This team has been specifically built for as far as personnel wise.
And he's played with different quarterbacks. You got to love that too about Lockett. He's
Nice.
always been a pretty good, firm, consistent piece for that team when he played for the Seahawks for so long when they had, a couple good different guys in there. So
33-year-old Tyler Lockett should not preclude you from drafting anybody.
no.
Should not change your plans on a 1-year deal.
This is an in the moment
way.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's a
Definitely in the
contingency
moment.
plan in case your guy doesn't get to you at the 35th pick or later in the draft. It allows young players that maybe you are adding to the pass catcher room on day 3 to grow and not have to immediately be thrown into the fire and be, A.J. Brown.
Yeah, be the guy so early.
615-737-1045. Coming up this morning, Coach Dave McGinnis at 7:20, who you will hear with Ramon Foster and the entire Titans radio crew tonight here on The Zone. Dawn Davenport of 3HL joins us at 9:20 this morning. She was won over on Cam Ward pretty much the second she did Syracuse-Miami this past season on the ESPN family of networks. We'll get her perspective on meeting Cam and what it is like adding him into the Titans locker room this offseason. Plus, did the Titans get it right? We'll bring it all to a head of the entire offseason, the moves they made, building an offensive line, building an offense around Cam Ward. Was all of this the right decision? 615-737-1045. Want to get into an interesting Brian Callahan quote about quarterbacks and moving around and how that impacts the quarterback position coming out of college for years to come. Coming up next. RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations at White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Make sure you download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. In case you're waking up a little bit late this morning, Tyler Lockett will be a Tennessee Titan, 33-year-old receiver in September, played 17 games a season ago for the Seahawks, 49 catches, 600 yards. Guys, before we get into our draft discussion this morning, is it safe to say Tyler Lockett is just an older Nick Westbrook-Akine at this point in his career?
No, I wouldn't. No, absolutely not. I wouldn't box a man like that.
Because for the money he's getting, it's very similar to what Nick Westbrook-Akine got to go to Miami.
I just look at him. Well, Nick Westbrook-Akine is also in a position, I thought, more than anything, of a role player. This guy right here is an actual, you put a piece on the board for him. Just considering the role that he played here and where he's going to play, I can't compare a one-to-one on that one. It seems to me like you can go to Tyler Lockett, right, more than anything. And I don't say this in hindsight, but the last couple of years you went to Nick Westbrook-Akine because you had to. Like, you want to go to Lockett because he can make plays for you. I felt like last year, and you hoped that if you were able to sign back NWI, that he would turn into a bigger role. You don't question that about Lockett to me. I understand the money side of it. It was like, oh, you could have just kept him. But no, not really on this one.
I think Lockett's obviously proven more in his career. I mean, he's played football.
Yeah, I'm not comparing their careers.
Yeah, at the National League
No.
a lot longer. But in terms of the money says what it says. And I think, unfortunately, when you turn 30 years old, as any player really in the NFL, except for a quarterback, you start to get that age thing wearing on you in terms of what teams think of you or what they're going to pay you. His production, obviously, Tyler Lockett's, went down a little bit last year, and there was a new offense there, obviously, with Pete Carroll gone and Mike McDonald up there running things as the new head coach. But I think that in terms of what you're going to get out of him, I think you might get a little more than maybe Nick Westbrook-Akine in terms of just what he's expected to do this season, depending on who they, draft. But I think he's still going to probably be a blanket for a guy like Cameron Ward. And so I think you get a little bit more out of him, but I wouldn't say that that's not fair to say.
Okay. I think it's a fair comparison. So Brian Callahan spoke the other day about transfer portal and quarterbacks, adding to the value of how much easier it has been getting to know Cam Ward in the draft process because of how many places he's played.
I think he's had a unique journey. I think the landscape of college football has changed in the last handful of years with the amount of opportunity guys have to transfer. I think there's a world now where there's some players that you see nowadays that maybe 10 years ago you might not have ever heard of them. And I think the opportunities for these guys, because of the way the transfers work, especially the quarterback position, because only one guy gets to play. And these guys have had unique journeys, Cam in particular, to get to where they are, because they've had to learn new teammates and new locker rooms and new systems. All those things factor into it. So there's a little bit less guesswork when it comes to their ability to learn, their ability to assimilate into a locker room, their ability to get along with coaches and to take coaching. And now we also, in Cam's particular case, you got 3 schools worth of people you can talk to, as opposed to one. And there's a lot of different opinions that get had, and you get coaches that had him when he was 18, and you get coaches that now had him in his last season. So I think it's actually really a benefit for some of these quarterbacks, because they eventually enter into a lot of the challenges they enter into when they come to the NFL, because they're learning something new. They're learning new people, new faces, a new way of doing things, whether it's a college or an NFL team. So I think a lot of these guys do have some advantage in that nowadays, even though I know it's not what everybody likes to hear. But there is something about that process that allows you to get a fuller picture for who they are as a person and how they learn and their ability to navigate change.
How has the transfer portal impacted guys like Cam Ward and quarterback classes moving forward entering the NFL draft?
How's it impacted it? It makes them more professional, I think, earlier on, considering you are facilitating transactions to go to another team and incorporate yourself inside of those locker rooms. More than anything, for guys like Cam, I'm looking at the list of guys you have in the rundown, too. I would even throw Tyler Shuck in this conversation, Will Howard in this conversation. The way I feel about what quarterbacks are able to do with them being able to move to different schools where they can highlight their attributes is this. To where the schools we speak about, like the MAC schools or like North Dakota State, was like, man, how do they have talent? If you are that good of a quarterback to be able to transfer and go start, like my eyes are big time on Tulane's transfer quarterback that's going to Duke this year.
Darian Mensah, yeah.
Darian Mensah. Mm-hmm. If Darian Mensah can elevate himself to a point to where where Tulane couldn't have had it, you don't question what he's capable of going to another level in the NFL. The same way, I know we having our own today, but Babs side-eye the heck out of linemen coming out of North Dakota State. Like, I don't question Grace Abel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like what you were able to get out of Dylan Radins in a sense. It's certain universities now that you can contribute to saying, yeah, they have good product. I feel the exact same way about quarterbacks if it's done correctly, too. Hey, you were a good product here, and you were a good product there. It solidifies, I feel like, the ability to be transparent, as Coach just said, too. You got to tell everybody everything. There's so many different stories about you. How consistent of a player, person are you over the course of this transfer portal, too? It could be a good thing. Case in point, Jaden Daniels. What was Jaden Daniels at Arizona State?
Not much.
Not much.
You know?
But he probably learned some lessons there, and he probably took some things when he had to be at the next level at LSU.
But to that point, though, too, it's the same way that, like, Joe Burrow elevated LSU also. Like, if you are him, but I know you've brought this up about Washington State and Cam Ward. He needed Miami to solidify what he did at Washington State.
And that's why he decided not to get drafted that year coming out. I mean, he got good advice.
You're able to get more clear answers if they are that type of guy.
And that's absolutely true. And I remember Jake Dickert did an interview, former Washington State head coach, with Julian over at News 2. He's a sports anchor over there. And Julian covered Cam Ward at Washington State before he moved down here this year. And Jake Dickert said that Cam Ward, what he was so impressed by was Cam Ward came in with his guy from Incarnate Ward when he came to Washington State. But then they changed the offensive coordinator in year 2. And Dickert just said, you know, his ability to just completely transfer, into a different way of doing things and to still continue to be in that room, even though that was his guy that he came to Washington State with, the way that he handled himself like a pro and just the way he was able to learn things that quickly and just transfer that, knowledge of going from one system to another. And it didn't completely change, but it was definitely different. And then to do that at Miami, I think that went to show you then, okay, this guy has the smarts too. Like, he has the ability on the field. He's athletic. Sometimes he's compared to things that Patrick Mahomes does. Not like he is Patrick Mahomes, but the arm motions and stuff. But it's up here too that he can really quickly learn things. If things happen or you have a new offensive coordinator or you have a new head coach, he can learn those things quickly. And I think that's what the transfer portal can do for some of these guys, that, they're not only in different environments, but they're learning, different offenses sometimes. And that's why I thought Jalen Milroe should have went one more year and transferred.
You also have the opposite side of this, too, like a DJ Uiagalelei, too.
Yeah,
right?
who's never.
I think I botched his name.
No, you actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a guy like him, who I thought was going to go to Florida State and poof, take him, or Oregon State at that matter, too, and he just can't find it. Like, you would hate to have drafted him when he was supposedly hot, and then you get him in your room and respectfully he turns to Will Levis in that point.
You learn what the competition level around you means.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Like, I think the revisionist history about Cam Ward is interesting because if he comes out in last year's draft as the prospect he is today, then yeah, he's probably still a top 10 pick. If he comes in last year's draft as the prospect he was before he went to Miami, he's not a first-round pick. He's just not. You got to learn what he was like, and hey, he doesn't play hero ball as much when he has linemen that can block for him, when he's got wide receivers that are open, when he's got, like legitimate talent around him. So you get to see how guys can rise to the level of the surroundings. Better defenses you're going up against, but also better parts around you. Charles Power of On3 wrote about this, saying that the crop of quarterbacks in the 2025 class is a weird one. It is an older group with 0 3-and-out signal callers, a rare scenario in the past decade. Here's what I think the transfer portal does. it prevents us from ever having a class like the 2022 quarterback class ever again. It is harder than ever at the quarterback position to be a diamond in the rough. And that's what I think the biggest difference is. This is not just a Cam Ward discussion. We could talk about Cam having different experiences and raising his level. Let's look down the entire list of the top 10 quarterbacks. Of Dane Brugler's top 10 quarterbacks, guys, one of them played for one college in their college football careers.
Jalen.
One player, Jalen Milroe. Cam Ward went to 3 schools. Shedeur Sanders went to 2. Jackson Dart, USC and Ole Miss went to 2. Tyler Shuck was Oregon, Texas Tech, and Louisville. Milroe, we mentioned. Quentin Ewers only took 3 snaps at Ohio State, but he was at Ohio State before he transferred to Texas. Cal McCord, Ohio State and Syracuse. Will Howard, Kansas State and Ohio State. Dylan Gabriel goes from UCF to Oklahoma to Oregon. People forget about his UCF tenure with a young Josh Heupel as his head coach. And Riley Leonard goes from Duke to Notre Dame. So I do think there is value in, we know a lot more about these quarterback prospects, including Cam Ward, because of the different life experiences that they have now had to check off in order just to become NFL draft prospects. And I do think it's going to raise the floor of a lot of these guys just because we know more about them. It's harder to get a Trey Lance or Anthony Richardson top 10 overall NFL draft prospect that has only thrown a couple of hundred pass attempts in all of their college football careers. I think the days of that in the first round are mostly behind us.
It's also why I still question why Indianapolis took Anthony Richardson.
I was just going to say
to that same point.
Well, that was we didn't have as big of an impact of the transfer portal at that point.
But still, like you look at that and evaluate what you said, like the exposure that a guy like him have had. And I know he went with the potential of him. I went back and looked at this 22 class. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, 22 and 23 even. Like, those classes aren't going to happen as much because of how much these quarterbacks move around. Like, I think you can make the argument. Is Brock Purdy finishing at Iowa State? Like, is Brock Purdy Mr. Irrelevant if transferring is more normal at that point as quarterbacks with name, image, and likeness? I don't think he does. Right. Like, I think we know that Brock Purdy is more of a dude, and some guys will always be late bloomers. Like, there will always be exceptions to this, but I do think that the 2022 class is the best example. I don't think that's going to happen again.
No.
Where Kenny Pickett's your only first-round pick at the quarterback position.
Look at the guys now that's coming out in this upcoming 26 class. I mean, if Arch chooses to come out, right? But you got Carson Beck, different university. You got Nico's at a different university right now. There's going to be an unsung hero that pops up over the course of this 25 college football season that are at different university. The mainstays at Clemson, Penn State. As far as top draft picks right now, that's
at quarterback.
At quarterback,
I mean, Cade Clubb, there will be seasons where high school prospects stay where they are and live up to the hype. But in the off years where high school quarterback classes just weren't as good, and you kick that 3 or 4 years down the road, now you won't have just terrible quarterback classes because guys will develop. Like, next year, you're going to have Cade Klubnik, you're going to have Sam Levitt, you're going to have Garrett Nussmeier, you're going to have Drew Aller. All 4 of those guys are one school guys, we imagine. But this season, in a class of not as good high school quarterbacks that are now 3 or 4 years older, you've got transfers that help fill that void and give you something at the quarterback position.
It's kind of dope, though, too, because for me, one to transfer, like, and go to a new locker room, it's so intimidating. You have to be able to absorb everything they're giving you, but also at that position at quarterback, you have to show your level of dominance and confidence too, which is what Cam Ward has done throughout this entire process. But not just him. I look at Jackson Dart doing the exact same thing, brought a level of playmaking ability to him too. Will Howard. Who was he before he went to Ohio State?
A guy that Kansas State wanted to kind of push out.
But you see, like, what.
And that's a big jump, too, by the way.
100%.
Kansas State, Ohio State? Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, anywhere to Ohio State's a big jump.
I mean, legitimately, you look at what he was able to do there and what a good team could mean for him. What it also does, though, is this. It may have you X him out on your draft board because you can say to yourself as a team, we're not strong enough to draft him. We're just not good enough to draft him. So why waste a position? Why waste a pick, even if you need a quarterback at that slot, on a guy that can't fit your system because your team is in a rebuild?
Yeah.
So it kind of clears up a little bit of what you want. I've heard people say, of course, the Jalen Milroe one school guy, like with a guy like him, you look at his intangibles that he was just simply born with, right? He the stuff, the tangible stuff that was a part of him, and you get excited for that. what the portal does for other guys that have been in this spot, like Cam, like Quinn, like Will Howard, to say, I know he can adjust and don't have to use every bit of the athletic ability that he was born with. This, to me, is challenging, and you also find out the right-minded guys, too, in this one.
That's why I wanted Milroe to transfer. First of all, I've said this before. I love Milroe. I think he's a great leader. Like, I love his mentality as a player. But for him, for the fact that he needs the arm to be incorporated more in what he's going to do at the next level, it wasn't like he needed to transfer for eyes on him. He was at Alabama. Like, for Cam Ward, he needed to transfer because he needed to get more eyes on him and play at a different level. But Milroe just needed to do it, I think, for learning something different, maybe having a different coaching staff around him to help develop him more as a passer. Because I think he could be good in the NFL if that were the case, guys, if he were to get a little more experience. But now this is kind of like a flip of the coin, what's going to happen to him.
615-737-1045. We begin on the phones this morning with Eric in Nashville. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, guys and ladies. How are we doing today?
Great.
What's going on?
Good. Actually, something that popped in my mind that I think would help Cam Ward in Tennessee, assuming that's the pick and the Titans don't screw it up, is the fact that it is a smaller market team. Because he played at Incarnate Word, which, a gun to my head, I couldn't even tell you where it's at. Washington State, in all due respect, not a lot of people are paying attention to Washington State. And even Miami had a lot more eyeballs, but it ain't like this ain't Miami of old. Now, maybe they turn into that. He was kind of the jump that got him to that. But being number one overall pick, small market team, and if he comes in and he's not quite lighting it up right off the bat, the market here is not necessarily going to just trash him like they would in New York or Los Angeles, maybe not Los Angeles, but some of the other bigger markets, Dallas or whatever. So I think all that could help out too, but also if he's coming number one, not a lot of talent, relatively speaking, that's why we're picking number one. To be honest, he didn't have a whole lot of talent probably around him at Incarnate Ward. Probably not great talent at Washington State, and better talent in Miami, but not what Miami's used to. So I think all those kind of variables help out to where this might actually end up just being the perfect spot for both parties involved. What do you guys think about that?
Thank you,
Have a
Eric.
good rest of your day.
Appreciate the call. They had talent at Miami. I mean, that's the whole reason he went to Miami. Was, hey, let me play with some legitimate dudes here and raise my draft stock because I can show who I am with like a really good Power 4 expensive supporting cast around me. And he did. I mean, he had All-Americans that he was walking in that room with at Miami. But being a smaller market will always give you less eyeballs in this town, 100%.
Yeah, I think that people that live here, I know that Nashville's growing like crazy, right? But it is still comparatively to other NFL markets like the New Yorks, like the LA teams,
even Texas.
Yeah, you're just Dallas. You don't have as much scrutiny on the situations where it's an everyday thing if something happens. Whereas in those national markets, not only are they blown up locally in those markets, but they're blown up nationally.
Yeah. To your point, though, Eric, too, I'll say this. Like, it may not be the national pressure that you're going to see in the eyes that's put on it, but I think the local pressure, like, you need a guy like Cam to give you a whole lot so that you can become a national eyes type of team.
615-737-1045. Is it fair to say the draft tonight starts with the number 5 overall pick? The latest buzz and intel from ESPN insiders coming up next.
Did you know that up to 50% of the air you breathe in your home comes from your crawl space? Well, have you ever looked in your crawl space? I get it. Most of us don't even want to know what's in there, but moisture in your crawl space can create unhealthy issues that can make their way into the air you breathe every day in your home. It's Ramon Foster, and this is where United Structural Systems can help. USS has been keeping homes dry and stable in Middle Tennessee since 1994, so you know they're not going anywhere. Help control moisture and musty smells with mold treatment and crawl space encapsulation that comes with the USS guarantee. That's right. Encapsulation helps reduce high humidity in your crawl space and helps deter mold and mildew and protect your crawl space from pests and wood rot. So turn your crawl space into a healthy space. Recall USS for all your foundation repair and waterproofing need, and they give you a free estimate, man. This is the company I can trust. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com or call them at 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems.
Thursday morning draft day on RKW, brewed up by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Throughout the morning, we're going to go back in time. We're going to hop in our time machine. We're going to play you the best analysis on Cam Ward, some of it that we have heard on this show leading up to draft day. So if you are a diehard fan that has listened to every second of this show for months, first of all, you know ball. Secondly, maybe you need a refresher of what Daryl Colbert said, of what Steve Palazzolo said when we compared Will Levis to Cam Ward. Maybe you're just tuning into draft coverage for the first time this morning. Oh, all right, come out of hibernation. NFL hibernation. It's draft day. Tell me what I need to know. Well, we'll do that too. Coming up this morning. The draft starts at 5 tonight, guys. Yeah. If you have something to do, if you want to make dinner after the Titans pick Cam Ward, you pop on the press conference in the back. I'll just go ahead and spoil it for you. It's Travis Hunter 2. It's going to be Abdul Carter 3. Will Campbell, according to the latest buzz, is very loved by Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. Jeremy Fowler writing that industry sources believe the Patriots have an affection for LSU tackle Will Campbell. Does the draft start at 5 tonight? Are we ready to make that statement?
I'm good on that one. Yeah, 100%. It does. Also, shout out to Will Campbell,
Thank you.
too.
Oh, okay.
No. Shout out to Will.
Thank you.
Shout out to Caleb.
Appreciate
Shout out
that.
to Will Campbell and Jay Hawk. But what I'm saying is this, though, too. All the fluff, short arms, conversation, can he not? No, you like who you like in this world, and he's the top guy at this point, and I'm glad Vrabel them are going with him. Screw the nonsense. If the man can ball, he can ball. But Will, to your point, yes, because at this point right now in the draft, I thought it was Mason Graham at 5. I think that conversation is about to be deaded out some at this point.
Right.
Yes, it starts at 5 for me.
Yeah, it starts at 5 for me, too. I was thinking, maybe I'll shake this thing up and go the opposite on that. I can't, though. When Mike Vrabel likes someone, that's his guy first and foremost. But when you look at what they need to help Drake May, their young quarterback, as much as possible up front. They might even go get a lineman with the second-round pick. And so I think he's the best left tackle in that spot in the first round by far. He's been taking criticism for his arms, he said, since he was 14 years old. It don't faze him. He's the 3-year starter at LSU. You got to take him if you're New England. So I think it does start at 5 because this is where we've heard Jacksonville talking about, do you possibly go get an Ashton Genty, and not go the other direction. So that's where it's going to get interesting. Jacksonville can always surprise us, whether it's good or bad, usually bad.
More context, the reason I feel like it starts at 5 too. John Frisell, a guy I follow on Twitter, man, he did work for Bleacher Report too. He got on there why I would not select Mason Graham at 5. The teardown has started. Number one, he weighed in at 14 pounds lighter. Brought that up yesterday, too. That's usually the red flag for his size. Measured short arms at the combine. Analytic experts are not high on him. Only event he did at the combine was the bench press, and he finished second to last on that.
Dang.
So he's a short arm guy, and he doesn't have bench. Like me, I'm a long arm guy and only got 20.
That's why I can't bench well either.
You feel me?
I got long arms.
Give me a little bit right there. Air 5 for you, man. But this is what he said.
One of the many reasons.
He said, played next to an elite player in Kenneth Grant and an elite defense at Michigan. Like, now the excuse making for the why. And said, whenever it starts to get quiet in the process, the low hype, low visibility, they're usually hiding concerns. So what I thought was the sure-end pick at 5 at Mason Graham seems to be taking a slide back at this point.
Daniel Jeremiah in his final NFL.com mock draft that he released yesterday live on the NFL Network has Mason Graham falling to 8 to the Carolina Panthers, who notably went all in for Milton Williams and at the last moment could not secure the best interior defensive lineman in the free agent market because he went to New England. So that would be your Milton Williams replacement for Carolina, the guy they thought they were getting for a long time there.
Oh, doubt.
I was talking to you, I think, off air about Carolina, and I go, we've talked a lot about, like, this first round. We've really not talked at all about what a team like Carolina is doing. They're right there.
Yeah.
Like, they
Defense.
have options, right? So that would make sense, but it's just funny, like, they're not really being talked about at all in terms of what they're looking at.
Not even.
So Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano write yesterday at ESPN.com that multiple teams picking in the top 10 are under the impression Jacksonville could go offense. Ashton Genty is on the Jags' radar as the best offensive player available at that spot. He is on the short list. Jeremy Fowler then writes, and I love this. One of the GMs I spoke to thinks wide receiver isn't off the table for Jacksonville in the first round, as the team could pair Brian Thomas Jr. with someone such as Arizona's Tetaroa McMillan with the number 5 overall pick. Sign me up for that. That's a reach, in my opinion.
Oh,
I'm not.
Really?
I don't think Tetaroa McMillan is a top 5 in the draft level prospect.
So are you imploring him to be T. Higgins then? A solid 1C if you have to, 2?
I mean, if he's T. Higgins,
you know what
I'd
I'm
say
saying?
that's a pretty solid pick because he's a multi-time 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah, for real. But what I'm saying is you
But
have the
you're right,
ability
to pair with Brian Thomas Jr.
Exactly. He the show, right? That's what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
getting to. He's the show, and if
He's
we want to
proven that.
continue to have him be the guy like this and not get double team and cut off, try to. If you reaching for him, real.
I just think Ted McMillan's a little too inconsistent to go 5th overall. I think he has potential.
Right.
That is why most of these guys are going to go in the first round
100%.
tonight. But I think 5 is very rich for what he's put on film.
What's interesting, if you read the early draft, kind of mocks, and I'm talking early, they actually had that as being something
Correct.
that the Jags could do, right? And then some of the stuff happened throughout the process where Tet lost a little bit of his momentum in terms of where he was going to land in this year's draft. So it's interesting that this is coming back around. But you can never count it out right now with Liam Cohen and him being an offensive mind. I think it's probably smarter to get a guy like Ashton Genty right now. But again, they might value that number 2 wide receiver and having 2 young guys for Trevor Lawrence at this point.
To the phones where Levis Lover has joined us this morning. Levis Lover, what's going on?
Lord.
Might have to change his name.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I've risen from the dead again.
You have.
Yeah.
Took more than 3 days.
So I know it's been a while. Yeah.
He is not him.
So
My bad.
I am absolutely not. Speaking of which, not Jordan Peele, but I think it is Jordan Peele. He's coming out with a movie called Him. I don't know how great that one's going to be.
I want to
but
see that.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, calling in talking about, the off season. We've made some drastic moves, done some awesome pickups. Can't even remember who we got a 4th string quarterback that's looking for the UFL for options. And then also I see that we've signed Tyler Lockett. Great choice. I'm sure he'll be retiring probably by week 4. Normally, Julio Jones situation. We got the Andre Johnson, Randy Moss. I mean, and I don't even know who else. But, we run this cycle of veteran receivers who've been in the league for 14-plus years and whatnot. Come here to the new Sunshine State of Nashville, Tennessee, and end up getting our awesome training facilities and get in there and get a few stretching coaches going, and then we end up retiring. So I'm excited about that choice. And also, I wish that for the draft we didn't just desperately need a quarterback this year. I think we could do without one. I don't think Cam Ward's the answer necessarily. I think he's an all right talent, but I wish we would have honestly traded back to 2 or 3, add in an extra pick, whatever they're willing to give. Take Abdul Carter, because I think he's a stud. Micah Parsons 2.0, hopefully without the contract, situations. But anyways, that's my take, and I'll see y'all sometime maybe in the fall.
Thank you, Levis Lover. Appreciate the call.
So many
So were you
questions
going to,
for
maybe
him
he was
now.
going to be the quarterback for the team then?
Who, Levis Lover?
Yeah.
Maybe Levis, just the guy at the beginning of his name.
I think he might be Levis. I'm just joking.
Hey man, my boy, he was fighting through that one.
He was. I mean, he seemed so positive on draft day. He seemed, positivity at all-time high.
Tyler
for
Lockett
Levis Lover.
retiring in week 4, according to Levis Lover. 615-737-1045. Throughout the morning, we're going to bring you some of the best Cam Ward analysis that we have heard on our show for the last few months. And when we come back, Steve Palazzolo of the 33rd team comparing Will Levis and Cam Ward and explaining to you why there is no comparison. Next.
Good morning. It's 7:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Happy draft day to all of those who celebrate. You can tune in tonight at 6 p.m. right here on 104.5 The Zone after 3HL to hear Titans Radio's award-winning coverage of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. You can hear every selection and analysis, including the Tennessee Titans' #1 overall pick, that you can't get anywhere else, with Brett Bryan, Amy Wells, Ramon Foster, Coach Dave McGinnis, and the new introduction of the voice of the Tennessee Titans, Taylor Zarzour, live from the Titans draft party at Nissan Stadium. And over the night, the Tennessee Titans made a pre-draft move. They signed veteran wide receiver and former Seattle Seahawk Tyler Lockett to a 1-year, $4 million deal that's worth up to $6 million per multiple sources. Lockett was released from Seattle back on March 5th and played his full 10-year career in Seattle to this point, amassing 8,594 yards, 61 touchdowns on 661 receptions, which included 4 1,000-yard seasons from 2019 to 2022. The 32-year-old was a first-team All-Pro as a returner back in 2015 and made his lone Pro Bowl in 2016. Last season, Lockett had 600 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns on 49 receptions, playing in all 17 games. In other NFL news, the Detroit Lions yesterday, an All-Pro safety Kirby Joseph agreed on a 4-year, $86 million contract extension, making Joseph the highest-paid safety in the NFL. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you have to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans involved. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Draft day 2025 upon us, and tonight, Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami, becomes a Tennessee Titan. 615-737-1045. RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. If there's one thing I know, guys, it's that calories don't count on draft day. They just don't count. Get yourself a cinnamon roll, or you can stay healthy. Get a protein smoothie while you're there. They've got something for everyone, something for the kids on the way to school. Get them out the door about 10, 15 minutes earlier, because you're going to scoot on down so fast when you get something at Scooters Coffee. If you're in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood, that can be a part of your school commute this morning. Thank us later. Do you want to thank Chris Collinsworth for his new Steelers pick, by the way, in the new PFF mock draft? You see this just come out?
Tell him, did he roll out?
Jalen Milroe at 21 to the Steelers is what Chris Collinsworth just put out there.
Like, do you not think
The Steelers are smarter than that.
Yeah, I would hope so.
The Steelers are smarter than that.
They've had Jalen Milroe before in 2022. Okay, his name was Kenny Pickett. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely not.
So throughout the morning, we're going to bring you some of the best audio that has been heard on our show in the build-up to the NFL draft on things that I think are particularly interesting about Cam Ward. Steve Palazzolo of the 33rd team was on with us a couple of weeks ago. We talked about what makes Cam Ward different from Will Levis, and Steve had this to say.
Yeah, with my PFF history, I like to use the stat called turnover-worthy plays, right, as a descriptor of, okay, this was a bad play, whether it was intercepted or not, here's a bad play. But I think the way that Levis and Cam Ward get to those plays is different. So with Cam Ward, you mentioned hero ball. I'm sure you guys have been talking about that a bunch over the last few weeks and months. That is what Cam Ward is, right? Like he's trying to create these big plays. Whereas I think Levis is just, if the first read or second read isn't there, it's just kind of panic mode. And it's just very late in the down, bad decisions. So I think they'll look a little bit different. But again, if you just watch those plays in isolation, you'd say, okay, these are all bad. I think Cam Ward, though, has a better opportunity to make big plays to offset those. So, Josh Allen has a lot of these plays. Josh Allen still has the low light reel for Josh Allen is still horrendous. If you just want to highlight his worst 15 or 20 plays per season, they're awful. But he has 100 great ones, so you live with that. Will Levis never had enough of those to offset the bad. And I think Cam Ward has enough of the special plays, rolling to his left against Louisville, hitting a guy 35 yards in the back of the end zone, 60-yard bombs to against Cal behind the defense when you have a nice speed receiver that you can take advantage of. I think there are enough special plays to Cam Ward's game that it offsets some of those hero ball plays. The other thing I'll say, with Levis, I think some of the bad plays festered, right? You could almost see him thinking, overthinking, and then in the second half of the season saying, okay, don't make those plays. And then he would take 8 sacks in a game, right? With Cam Ward, my favorite thing about him, I think, is the amnesia. Back when I was pitching, I had a pitching coach. He said, you got to have amnesia, right? You give up a bomb and you forget it. Cam Ward had the crossbody interception against Florida, against Cal, some bad plays against Virginia Tech, but he always bounced back from those plays, and he kept that same aggressiveness. And so I love that about Cam Ward. There'll be some bad ones, but he'll bounce back and make up for them. So I think that's another huge difference in Cam Ward's game versus Will Levis's.
Interesting stuff there from Steve Palazzolo of the 33rd team.
Yeah, no doubt. I like it.
Great breakdown by him.
Because as a teammate of somebody that I've played with like that, like it legitimately makes you a participant in the show feel like Superman too. Because if you do, it makes you want to do your job that much more with somebody having the ability to find ways to extend plays, but also make those plays, right? Like, there's nothing better than knowing that, look, at the end of the day, each play can be a success if it's in that quarterback's arms. And if that is Cam, and that's what he's been over the duration of his career, man, like, you'll see guys get a little bit more cocky. Legitimately, you'll see that being the case. But here's the other side of it, too. Those guys will probably lose you games. No, those guys will lose you games. And you know what you do? You shut up. Because at the end of the day, that guy's the one he's the one that stirs the drink at all times. And if Cam Ward turns into that in the NFL, that could do a lot for the franchise. It gives you breathing room, pretty much, in a sense, as a franchise, if he can go do that for you.
Yeah, Steve Palazzolo, who does an awesome job on the 33rd team they do over there with Sam Munson, when he was on our show and he was kind of describing what Will Levis didn't do in those situations, right? Where he kind of, when he made a mistake, it's almost like the mistake stayed with him. And even in the beginning of the season, when you saw Will Levis make those big mistakes in those first 2 games, and then he was benched for a little bit, and you thought, okay, maybe Will Levis will be coming back to us rewired, because those were his words. And then he came back in towards the end of the season, and honestly, he lost his job again because Mason Rudolph, at that point, they put him in. He never could kind of fix his own way of getting over mistakes. And I think the one thing Cam Ward has going for him that I think you can be confident in, guys, is if there is a play that is made that is not good, and there's going to be an interception, right? There's probably going to be a fumble. Those are things he's going to have to clean up, but they're going to happen. He has the ability, and it's been proven in every place, to flip the switch. And the next play he comes in and he is then making up for it. And I think that's what you can say for sure about Cam Ward is the nervous system part. It's there. It's built for him. And I said this a while ago, but ever since I've been watching him, that dude's facial expressions, you don't see anything. He has consistently been the face of Cam Ward, whether it's a touchdown or it's always the same face. There's not a lot of outward emotion that you see when he messes up or makes a good play. It's just Cam Ward is who he is. And I kind of like that, the steadiness of it.
Right.
Well, that's definitely different from Will Levis, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
We have memes of that.
Yes. Levis is last year, and you can't fault him. That's what I will say.
Levis?
Yeah, how the lead up, the off season lead up to him being the guy.
Yeah.
Everybody was so ready to get rid of Ryan Tannehill, to see something new, something more aggressive. Nashville made him Nashville, I felt like, last year too. Well, he made himself Nashville, where everything was a show. He was on the scene, the commercials.
Still is.
You know what I'm saying?
Still is on the scene.
It was those things, and I feel like that's where, to your point about Cam Ward, the ability to understand, why am I here? That's why I always joke athletes that become rappers. Bro, we wouldn't know about your rap career if you didn't do this thing. You need to be doing that thing on that football field and that basketball court. I ain't telling nobody to shut up and dribble or nothing like that. What I'm telling you is we love you for that. You can do more if you do great things at the thing that we know you for. And that's why I feel like Will Levis put the cart before the horse, or it may have just been his personality to not be able to handle that situation. And I ain't saying he's a bust per se, but what I'm saying is this. He got too ahead of himself, I feel like, and I also blame Callahan in that sense too. Sometimes as you walk around with guys, you don't ever want to stop them from being them, but they have to earn the right to say, they have to earn the right to be able to make those crazy plays. And I didn't think he was there last year. And it showed in week 1 because that's what we kept hearing the entire offseason.
Plenty of quarterbacks have a lot of turnover-worthy plays. You make it in this league by overshadowing those moments with greatness. And I believe Cam Ward shows a lot more greatness on his film and a lot more whoa, aha moments than Will Levis really ever did. Like when Will Levis would get outside the structure of an offense, things rarely went well. When Cam Ward gets outside the structure of an offense, things often go well. Now, he's going to throw late over the middle plenty of times, and he will have a lot of turnover-worthy plays as a rookie, but he'll also do some things that earn him the right to continue to improvise outside the structure of an offense when he, breaks a tackle and throws it 40 yards downfield to Tyler Lockett now, who is his new teammate. Coming up, Coach Tay McGinn is Titans Radio's head coach. He will break down Cam Ward with us next.
It's Ramon Foss for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, they've been here in the business since 1990. And a family-owned and operated, man. I myself am a customer of Hiller. For numerous times, man, I've had them over to my house for different situations, whether it be plumbing, HVAC, and even some electrical work. They put my cameras up around my house, man. Just low voltage stuff. Absolutely amazing work that they do. And they also take care of you on every job, too, and they stand behind their work. Happy you'll build the service is free is their motto. It's that simple, Hiller, man. They also offer you true transparency pricing. What this means is this. Every part of the job is lined up front so you can understand what you're paying for and the why. There will be no hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. This is the company, as I said before, I trust and use often if I have an issue pop up. To book with them or learn more, simply visit happyhiller.com.
Thursday morning, RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today. Order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. We're joined this morning by Coach Dave McGinnis, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, for a draft day visit with Titans Radio's head coach. Mac, what's up? How are we doing?
Doing great. Morning, gang. Just a mention very quick. I've been, of course, with the passing of Steve McMichael, I've been on the phone a lot with a lot of text chains on. It just reminds me of when you're in this business. I've been so fortunate to be able to be involved with a lot of really, really exceptional, not only football players but people. And then when one of these players passes, it takes me back to, you really need to appreciate the moment. Mm-hmm. That you're living in, quit worrying about a lot of stuff that sometimes when you get to the end of it doesn't matter a whole lot. But anyway, just wanted to give that shout out and some remembrance for Steve McMichael, who was truly one of the great ones in our league.
Absolutely, Mac. No doubt. A good day to do that, of course. Draft coverage tonight on Titans Radio, Mac, will be awesome. You'll have Ramon on there. We don't know if binoculars will maybe be also in the backpack for Ramon, still as an homage to y'all's trip to Mobile at the Senior Bowl. But, Mac, as always, you guys are going to bring it tonight on Titans Radio, aren't you?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, Ramon has added a lot to the draft part of it. With the other things that he's done since he joined Titans Radio, and it'll be no different tonight. The thing about the draft is, I mean, I think back on, I've still got the same feeling that I had of anticipation that I did in the very first draft I was involved in, because you can do all the preparation that you want. And I mean, you guys have done a tremendous job this offseason, having a lot of people on and going in depth on all of these players. But you really don't know till the bell rings, until it starts. And then the thing that to me, the vibe around this draft that has been very, very different. Of course, I'm not in the same capacity I was, for the 31 seasons that I was deeply involved in. It is, at this point, I would have called around and kind of found out, what people's mindsets were inside the buildings. That's what you really don't know. And that's what you miss, and then that's why a lot of times once the draft starts unfolding, those of us that are on the outside of it, basically just observing it and tracking it as it starts, you're surprised with picks and what I didn't think about that. There's a lot of things that you don't know unless you're inside those buildings, and believe me, guys. Those 32 buildings, they've all got separate mindsets when it comes to the draft. So it's always been the same for me. It's a high level of anticipation, and it's excitement. I mean, it's excitement because everybody is hinging on hope, and you're taking some jumps and chances at trying to improve what you're going to do on the football field. It's just an exciting time, and the league has made this really a premier event in the off season. I can't wait for it, but I always anticipate it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. You guys have done a lot of work. Our fans have done a lot of work.
Yeah.
Looking and thinking, and once it gets ready to start, we still all don't know, and that's what the beauty of it is.
So, Mac, working under the assumption that Cam Ward becomes a Tennessee Titan tonight, on film, where is Cam Ward at his best?
Well, he's able to handle the game, and when I say handle the game, especially from the quarterback position, this is true for all positions. I mean, those guys, when they start playing, everybody's under pressure during the game, but you've got to be able to, and everybody is going to have plays that don't go the way they want them to go. But how you handle those down moments and those bad moments within the time frame of that game, and be able to come back and overcome that and still uplift your football team, that's extremely important. That's what this guy has done. I mean, you're not going to find, when you get on film and really start grinding it, if you want to be honest, there's no pure player that has never made a mistake at whatever position he's at. Cam Ward is no different. The difference that separates these guys is the ones that are able to put it behind them in the moment in the moment, not after 2 or 3 days of reflection on it once the game is over, but at the moment and get back on track. He's always been able to do that. Now, he is a gunslinger. He's a gunslinger. He has been. He always has been. I'm looking forward to seeing his growth in that area because he has been unique in the fact that from where he started, the level of competition and play, he's experienced different levels, all through the stage of his career, and this is another one he's going to have to experience. But if he can keep that same mindset and be able to uplift his team past the bad plays, that's what separates these guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Coach Mack is joining us this morning. Mack, you got me off topic, man, thinking about your good friend Steve McMichael this morning because I got to go back to the first game of the season. They honored him in Chicago at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Had a huge event, Coach Mack, but also just to educate the crowd a little bit too, he's also, if you ever watched a good Western comedy movie, Blazing Saddles, he was the individual Mongol who knocked out a horse, Coach Mack. One thing for sure, when you win, you can do whatever the heck you want to. You guys were making rap videos, music videos, starring in movies, Coach Mack. What didn't y'all do with the Bears, Mack?
The thing that was important, and that's a great point, Ramon, that you bring up. Of course, I've got a massive respect for you just because of the way your career went. I think you can speak to what I'm talking about of being able to overcome things. Mm-hmm. to make it work and to be successful. It's a hard profession. It really is. But those guys that I was so fortunate to be able to be involved with for all of those years, the one thing they did do when it came time to work, they worked. I mean, those were still some of the most violent, intense practices I've ever experienced in my life. Because and competing against each other. But once it started, they were there to uplift each other. And with that, came the accolades and then the adoration of a huge, huge fan base. And you're right. Once you start playing well and winning ball games, then you can start doing other things. Don't start doing those other things first, though, before you build something on the football field. And building something on the football field as a professional football player is contributing to winning football games. That's where it starts. And that's what I was exposed to very, very early in my career in this league is guys, I saw the hard work that was rewarded by winning games, and then there's other things that come after that.
It's fun when you win, Mac. We had just had a similar small conversation about guys doing off the field stuff and, commercials and all that type of stuff. But Mac, we love you because of what you do on the field. It's not, that, hey, you should just do your job. No, if you do your job really well in this world, specifically in the NFL, there's a lot of access to you. And that's why I want to go with, Cam Ward and all the conversations we've heard about him a little bit, Coach Mack. Do coaches here like to hear those stories of whenever Cam Ward got on the campus at any university he had visited, he became the field general? Coach Mack, does that matter for coaches that are drafting him into the NFL?
Sure it does. And that's the thing that I miss, being very honest with you guys and our listeners, and I think I always have been since I've been on the air here, is the thing that I miss about not being on the inside of the buildings and being able to, this whole process of, we put together draft boards and Rhett and I, just like everybody else, it works very hard at putting this together to be able to pivot and talk during the draft, but you don't get to know the players, the people. I don't get to dig into these people because that's only reserved for these clubs that basically live with them during all the off season in the build up to this draft. So yes, it's extremely important. And then his story, from what I know from just the outside part of it, this guy is somebody that has never been given basically anything. I had teammates at TCU from West Columbia, Brazoria. I know what that is down there. And then, to be able to go to Incarnate Word and basically to try to move around and go to every camp there was and get nobody to bite on a single wing quarterback and then, Chad Morris sees him and finally says, you know what, I'll give this guy a chance. He's done nothing but accelerate and run with that chance wherever he has gone. So that's what we hope, what will happen with this. But there's got to be something there inside of you that has propelled him to do that at every stop that he has made. So that's what we're looking forward to here.
Coach Beck joining us this morning on RKW. Along the lines of that, this will be a new landing spot, a new environment at a different level for Cam Ward. And when you come into a locker room that, has some veterans, has some guys that have proven themselves in the league for years, and you are a rookie quarterback, we've heard how Cam Ward is when it comes to his leadership, and he's kind of a no-nonsense guy, and he expects the best. Does he come in with that same exact kind of attitude, Coach Mack, or do you have to change a little bit because of the guys that have come before you and have played longer?
Well, here's the way that it was explained to me, and I tell you who explained it to me was the late, great Walter Payton. Because, I was brand new in the league, and I said, he at one time said, you earn respect by legitimate work. You earn respect by legitimate work. That's how every rookie that comes into this league. Now, look, this world is different now. Everybody's an entity unto themselves. With social media, with branding, with everything like that. But in the locker room, when those doors are closed, and it's just you and your teammates, and you're brand new in there, the way that you earn respect is by legitimate work in all phases when you step in there. So you absolutely maintain that confidence, but you also maintain that confidence with respect until you prove yourself day to day on that field.
We woke up this morning to the news of Tyler Lockett being signed by the Tennessee Titans. Not official yet, but when it does become official, what can a guy like that, that has done it for so many years at a high level, Coach, add to a room where you are probably going to have a young quarterback running the show? Well,
he's had a very distinguished career. Of course, here's what you do. You talk about Tyler Lockett. A guy that's earned that respect. You got a veteran player. We know we were light as far as numbers wise and experience wise, except for Calvin Ridley in that room. So that's the element that he adds. Now, how he will be used, what he will do, but you don't have to guess at what he can do because you've had double-digit years in this league watching him perform. So it's a good addition. But he will be there, and he'll be there as a facilitator. Does it help? It not only helps a young quarterback, it helps an offense that is still trying to find its identity. And so, you're looking for him to come in here and provide whatever they ask him to, but you don't have to guess because you've got years of watching what he's done. He was healthy all of last year. I understand that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can add.
Coach Mack at Titans Radio, our guest, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Mack, a lot of the pre-draft buzz is around Jacksonville being very intrigued by Ashton Jeanty with the number 5 overall pick. What makes Ashton Jeanty the kind of running back that would necessitate a top 5 pick, or at the very least, Mack, top 10, because it does not feel like he's going to get past Chicago at 10 on the off chance Vegas would pass on him at 6 as well?
Yeah, well, he's our top back in our board. Contact balance. He's an excellent runner. And the other thing is he's consistent. He's a consistent runner. Whether you're running in inside zone, you're running in gap schemes. He is very, very consistent. He's a same foot, same shoulder guy through contact, which is extremely important. And he has consistent production. And that's what you're looking for. So I don't know where everybody else has him. You can do all the reading you want and look at he and O'Marion Hampton are the guys that people have at the top. But let me say this about this running back class: this is a pretty deep running back class. That's the thing that surprised me a little bit when I, started back after the season of vetting this draft class as to how many running backs there are going to be, not only at the top. You asked me about Genty, and I think he will be at the top. But the thing that is impressive is watching through the middle of this draft, there's going to be some running backs taken that are going to be able to contribute this year. This is a pretty full with different types of backs in this draft. That surprised me, the numbers of them.
Mac, it's interesting on draft day. The hay is in the barn for organizations and for scouts and general managers and coaches, but we still get new information the morning of the draft. Things like that, like, hey, we're hearing ... Jags interested in Genty, things like that. Like, how intentional are teams in putting information or false information out there on days like today? And what is today like in the build-up to the draft for coaches and general managers as they pass the time to when the Titans go on the clock?
Well, again, to give you a little insight, and I started off this conversation by saying that that's the part that I miss.
Right.
Because when you're inside a building, you are involved in all of these conversations with other teams also. I mean, I worked the phones for over 30 years in the draft, and you find out back and forth talking with teams, and as you narrow it down, you don't ever want to give away too much information, but at the same time, if you're going to get information, you've got to give a little bit. The things that will surprise us, and I say us because I'm on the outside now, anticipating all of these picks, just like everybody else is. The thing that will surprise us will not surprise the people in the buildings. It won't, because it's not like that there's been radio silence among the people that count in all of these buildings. I mean, that's not the way it works. It just doesn't. So these things that leak out, if that's the word that you want to use, that's why I don't pay much attention to hardly any of it, because that's what's being talked about among teams is much different than a lot of times is talked about as anonymous sources saying we have heard this. That's a dangerous phrase during this process.
No doubt about it. Coach Mack, it seems to be midway through the first round, it'll probably be a run on these edge rushers, Jalen Walker, Donovan Ezerike. Like, there's a few guys, Shamar Stewart, that you can point on being in that spot. Another guy I want to bring up to your point about, drowning the noise out is a guy like James Pierce. Would you be surprised seeing him within that top 15, top 20 in that edge runoff right there?
I've got him as a. I mean, you've seen the board. I've got him as a first pod edge rusher.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, the other things that come out about all I know is when I watch tape, this guy's got an elite first step get off, and I mean, he is relentless, especially in chase. Those guys are hard to come by. They're hard to come by. So I've got him as a first round player. Now, I'm not intel within everybody else's mind in all of these other places, but just what I watch on film. I mean, and again, you are God-given and born with that first elite step and the ability to flatten out, to get to the launch point that the quarterback has. So would it surprise me? It's not going to surprise me wherever he goes. But I do know this, that he's got a skill set that somebody's going to want.
Yeah.
He is Titans Radio's head coach, Coach Dave McGinnis, joining us this morning on draft day. Titans Radio coverage as soon as 3HL goes off air tonight, 6 o'clock, right here on The Zone with Mac and the whole Titans Radio crew. We are looking forward to tuning in, Mac. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.
Guys, appreciate all of you through all of this process. You guys ask great questions. I know you do a lot of work. Moan, see you tonight.
See you tonight, Mac.
Love it. There he is. Later, Mac. Coach Dave McGinnis with us this morning on 104.5 The Zone. All right, coming up next, final verdict. Where does Shedeur Sanders land in tonight's NFL draft? We'll get the former Steeler in the room's opinion on the potential future Steeler starting quarterback next.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.
Hey, do you want to look and feel better about yourself, especially going into these summer months? Well, it all has to do a little bit with your hair sometimes, right? And if you feel like you're thinning up top, this is a way to grow back fuller and thicker hair. Hey, it's Kayla. Winter We Grow Hair. It's almost been a year now, so I've been on the journey for a while. But what has been great is it has helped grow my hair back, and it's been the biggest confidence boost ever. You could get in on all the action now, 615-376-6010. We Grow Hair has been doing great work in Nashville for almost 30 years, and they've got every procedure when it comes to what you need for your hair growth journey. So if you want a lot of hair in just one procedure, you can get that. Their Artist Robotic FUE procedure offers that. Also, We Grow Hair's high-density hair transplants going to give you 2 times more hair in just one procedure. But maybe you're like me and you're just seeing a little thinning along the temple line. You can get in for your 45-minute laser treatments. They also have the PRP treatments. That's for both men and women. And you really start to see that hair grow back. Backed by the only company I trust for my thinning hair. I go to We Grow Hair at 615-376-6010 for a free consultation today. Or you could simply go online to wegrowhair.com.
RKW 1045, The Zone, brewed by Scooters Coffee. We got a pot of caramelicious Scooters Coffee coming up here in the studio. You could have a great pick-me-up to start your draft day in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Make sure you get that Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Ramon Foster, as an 11-year veteran of the Pittsburgh Steelers, yes or no, in your opinion, do the Steelers make Shedeur Sanders their newest starting quarterback tonight?
No.
Okay.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. Just where the team is set up. I think there's a bigger plan to be had and also bigger needs that they also need, too. They are a team right now that have CJ, I think, is 30 right now. I see them going edge. I see them going D tackle because Cam Hayward is up in age a little bit more, and they have, as of late in the last few drafts, poured so much into the offensive side of the ball. And one thing I know about Pittsburgh is this: it's the history of it is defense wins. Offense is there to support you, and to take a risk on a non-top 10 quarterback at this point, I don't see that being the case for them too. It's a matter of them being able to just roll Mason Rudolph out there as insurance, and hopefully you'll see a guy like Aaron Rodgers potentially come into the room. Sure. But end of the day, it end up being Mason and one. I just can't see them going first round. Now, second round is a different. No, they don't have a second round pick this year.
Right.
They gave that away for the DK Metcalf draft. So I see them going more defensive in this one, corner, D tackle, or edge. You got to, because again, the last few years they've gone strictly tackles. And as far as their defense goes, and then Roman Wilson last year is a second round pick, so they're going to slant it and go in the opposite direction from my, not from my understanding, from my guess.
Okay,
so
yeah, interesting.
That makes me think now, because we started to believe the Shedeur Sanders slide, right? And you still have an opportunity that maybe a team like New Orleans does take him, but that's more and more seeming not to be the case.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
So if he doesn't go to the Steelers, then I truly believe he's out of the first round.
I wouldn't go that far. FanDuel Sportsbook still has a minus 370 to go as a first-round pick. FanDuel also has, I'm getting there. They also have Shedeur as minus money to go to the Steelers. Vegas still believes the Steelers hype. There are many others who do not. There's even rumors out there this morning the Steelers are trying to trade out of the number 21 overall pick, and they could recoup their second-round pick and maybe even a future second-round pick if they did that. I'm looking at the Giants trading back up into the first round for their quarterback tonight. I think Shedeur Sanders will be a first-round pick. I think someone is trading back up from the top of the second into the 20s to take him.
What is that pick for the Giants at 2 right now?
At their second round pick?
Yeah, what's their second round pick right now?
I'm not sure. I don't have it pulled up.
It's the second pick of the second round, so it's 34 in front of the Titans, since the Browns are 33. I think either the Browns or the Giants are moving up to take Shedeur Sanders in the 20s tonight.
Yeah. I can see that before Pittsburgh takes him at this point.
Because Denver also is another trade back candidate at 20 if teams wanted to get in front of the Steelers at 21.
That's one of those spots, especially when you have more of a complete team, to where you do try to find as much value in picks as you possibly can get, right? And there's also been conversation of George Pickens potentially, not from Pittsburgh, but teams inquiring by him as a trade asset too, if you want to go pick up another guy also. They got valuation with that pick. And again, this has been my plan for Pittsburgh. If they ever were trying to move on from Coach Tomlin, their fan base up there is just, you'd be surprised how much.
It's loud.
It's
loud. Very loud.
Yeah.
Very loud.
For sure.
What I've said is this: if you roll out Mason, or if Aaron Rodgers isn't what you want him to be, this is where you have the opportunity. I do somewhat believe this. If you're picking in that top 12 for a quarterback, you have a better chance of success, is the way I look at it. I know it's not apples to apples and the way it goes sometimes, but Pittsburgh hasn't been in a position to where they've lost enough to be picking in that top 12, and that sucks.
One thing is really interesting to me, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, well connected within the Steelers organization, as someone who has covered the AFC North for a long time and someone who covers the entire league from a national perspective at ESPN.com. He writes yesterday, I asked an NFL offensive coordinator where Mason Rudolph would rank in this draft class. Had he been coming out with the rest of the group, the coordinator said he'd be QB3 of this draft class.
Draft class.
That is the funny thing about prospects like Tyler Shuck, who we elevate in this process who's 26 years old. Mason Rudolph's not that far off from 26 years old himself. Like, neither is Will Levis, neither is Trey Lance. Like, there are also other retread quarterbacks who are the same age profile, maybe not same experience, same skill set, but they're still moldable earlier in their careers. Mason, maybe not that young, obviously, but I thought that was really interesting as, Mason Rudolph being compared to a lot of these guys.
What's crazy, too, to that same point is he was labeled the reason Pittsburgh took him in the second that year as a first-round talent. That was one of the things I'll never forget is the discussion inside the building was why in the heck did we not go get a wide receiver or something like that? Because quarterbacks like Ben always want new weapons, and you use it on the quarterback for that matter. So it's a fascinating approach to where Pittsburgh is right now. From my understanding, conversations I've had, I think they're going to pass on that one.
Okay.
So
Pass on their body.
Mason Rudolph will be 30 this year, by the way.
I thought he was 28.
Yeah,
that's on me.
He's 29. He'll be 30 on July 17th.
It's not old.
Wow.
Here's interesting, though, because you're thinking, Will, that the New York Giants could possibly trade up to get him in the first still. Because right now in round 2, as it is, the Cleveland Browns are having the first pick of the second round.
33.
So that's my question. If indeed, like for some reason they did do that, would you think Shedeur would be eventually the better pick and better set up for success if the Giants go and trade and get him still in the first, or if he just falls to the Browns at that 33rd pick?
Ooh, pick your poison.
I know, right?
I don't think he's really successful at either of them.
And it seems like those are the two places he'll go.
Yeah, I think he'd be better in Cleveland
Okay.
than New York. With Travis Hunter and Jerry Jeudy to throw to, and with Kevin Stefanski. I like Kevin Stefanski. I think he's really underrated as a head coach. And I think he's been given a really poor hand with the Deshaun Watson stuff that he's really made the most of.
Yeah.
Brian Daboll, I'm not sure is long for this world in New York, but I think he's a good coach too. I just think that Joe Shane is not as good of a general manager as Andrew Berry as a rule.
They've missed. Did you see what their GM son posted last night too?
No, I didn't.
He was playing a video game with I think it was Shedeur Sanders last night.
Oh, was he really?
It was it's on Twitter. I'll find it.
If I'm Cleveland, I'm really intrigued with reuniting Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter.
Good point.
Daniel Jeremiah, in his mock draft that came out last night on NFL Network, does have the Giants trading up to 18 with Seattle to take a quarterback. He has that quarterback as Jackson Dart at the number 18 overall pick.
I saw that. Yeah, Dart's going to get hired. I think we expect him to go at this point right here. That just seems the way it's going to be. But he's got what you want, to be quite honest with you. It's a matter of the college offense is what a lot of people have knocked for the most part.
Definitely is. Josh tweets at us with a picture of Cam Ward in a Miami jersey sitting on a throne, and it says Air McNair, H-E-I-R, with a picture of Steve McNair in the background.
Don't do this.
I don't like this kind of stuff,
begins.
guys.
Don't do this.
I don't like that kind of stuff.
Don't do this, folks.
That's the comp. Nate Tice all over it.
Let him be his own guy. Let him get in first. But I get it. People are excited. You should be excited, but not that type of excitement.
We're not that far removed from Malik Willis catching Steve McNair comparisons. Let's just let him play a game first.
Yeah.
Before we compare him to Steve McNair.
Wow.
Let's just see what happens. Let's all keep our powder dry.
Let him run. Yes, man. We need a Mac to drop that one more time before he got off. Off air with us, Coach Matt.
He hasn't said that for a while.
Because he didn't feel like he needed to, Kayla. After
Football hasn't been played in a while, so
he needs to say that, okay?
Coming up, Cam Ward's quarterback coach, Daryl Colbert, joined us on the show a few weeks ago. He'll tell us, as was heard right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, about what makes Cam and how he's grown the most since he first started working with the future Tennessee Titans quarterback. Coming up next.
Good morning. It's 8 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. Happy draft day to all of those who celebrate. You can tune in tonight at 6 p.m. right here on 104.5 The Zone after 3HL to hear Titans Radio's award-winning coverage of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. You can hear every selection and analysis, including the Tennessee Titans number 1 overall pick that's projected to be Cam Ward, that you can't get anywhere else, with Brett Bryan, Amy Wells, Ramon Foster, Coach Dave McGinnis, and the introduction of the new voice of the Tennessee Titans, Taylor Zarzour, live from the Titans draft party at Nissan Stadium. And in case you missed it over the night, the Tennessee Titans have a new receiver. They signed veteran wide receiver and former Seattle Seahawk Tyler Lockett to a 1-year, $4 million deal. It's worth up to $6 million per multiple sources. The 10-year pro played his entire career in Seattle to this point, amassing 8,594 yards, 61 touchdowns on 661 receptions, including 4 1,000-yard seasons from 2019 to 2022. Last season, Tyler Lockett had 600 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns on 49 receptions, playing in all 17 games. And in the NBA playoffs with the Memphis Grizzlies, the series shifts to Memphis tonight as they look to avoid an 0-3 hole against the Oklahoma City Thunder. No team has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit in the NBA playoffs. Tip-off is tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you have to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, brewed by Scooters Coffee. With locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Tonight, Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami, is what you will hear when the Tennessee Titans head on the clock. Last night, Tyler Lockett became a Tennessee Titans wide receiver for the second straight year. A veteran wide receiver named Tyler will be brought in to help a young quarterback grow in two-tone blue. Last season in Seattle, Lockett, 49 catches, 600 yards, a pair of touchdowns. He had a 4-year stretch of 1,000-yard seasons from 2019 to 2022. Guys, he has played in at least 16 games every year since 2017. That'll help future Titans quarterback Cam Ward.
It will, man. And again, his role that he'll play on this team, one, leadership is always going to be key. And not just that side of it, too, but the role that he plays for the style of ball that Cam Ward likes to play. I think that's going to be very productive for him moving forward. And not just that, too. You settle him. It's the same thing that you felt like was trying to be did with Will Levis last year. But this one, I think, takes a little bit of a different approach with how he'll be using this offense, especially with Calvin really already being here another year or two. Plays a perfect role for him. You're across the middle guy.
I think when you heard this signing, there were some fans that the little red flag went up, like, oh, here we go again. Here's an old veteran who did it well at the stop they were before, and now you're bringing him in, and he's going to retire 4 games into the season. I think
somebody did call him and say that earlier.
I think what's different about this situation, and look, anything can happen, right? Nothing is given. What we're saying, doesn't mean it's going to happen. However, with Tyler Lockett, the one thing that Will said that stood out to me, and the one thing that this new Titans front office has identified with what they're adding, is the stability, the availability that the players they brought in free agency have had. And he is now one of those guys. Yes, he might be in his 30s, right? He might be towards the tailor end of his career, but I still feel confident that, and I think he has to feel confident, right? That he wants to still play and is healthy enough to do that. I know some people brought up Julio Jones, and look, guys, unfortunately, with Julio Jones towards the last year in Atlanta in that 2020 season, he only played in 9 games, guys. And when he joined the Titans, you saw, the fall off in terms of production. He never played in more than 11 games as a more than 10 games as a Tennessee Titan. So I think you started to see like even with a guy like Julio Jones, he just wasn't as available. Tyler Lockett's still available.
It's all about expectations.
Right.
For what these guys are when you are bringing them in. Julio Jones was brought in to be a missing piece to elevate the Titans to a championship level.
Yep.
Nobody's expecting that from Tyler Lockett.
Right.
Come in,
Right.
be available, be a consistent target who will be healthy and open for your young quarterback to throw to. And that's really all this is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wide receiver 3 or 4 at this point of his career. It does not change one iota your draft plans. However, it does give you a safety net if receivers available for you to pick aren't your favorite options. If you're sitting there at 35 on Friday night, and Emeka Ibuka and Luther Burden are both gone, and you don't have an offer you like to trade back, and you just got to grimace and take an edge rusher or take a D lineman or take who knows what else, you have a little bit more of a safety net to do that now with Tyler Lockett on your roster. So
Yeah.
that's all it means to me. I don't think it's a significant change to any of your draft plans.
No, they still need to add a young wide receiver to grow with a young quarterback, in my opinion. And you can find that it's still in maybe early in the 4th round, right? It might not be as high caliber as a guy like Ibuka and Luther Burden if you can't get them at 35, but it does make me think a little more they'd be okay with taking an edge there if those two guys maybe weren't there. And who's to say they'd even take Luther Burden, because of the off-the-field stuff. I don't know that for sure.
It could also help out a young guy, too, like Jaquan Jackson, in a sense, too. Help him expedite his growth and grow up and become more of a professional, too, to be able to use him offensively. Again, it's similar type player, from my understanding, too, with what you want out of him. I know Jaquan does punt return, kick returns, and stuff like that. But if he can learn from a Tyler Lockett, a guy that this regime ended up drafting, because Chad was a part of this. Callahan was a part of this last year, too. This is one of your guys. You have that ability to at least give him somebody to look towards to be able to model his game after a little bit more. So it'd be fascinating to see how he benefits from it, or if he takes Jaquan's spot. I mean, at $4 million, he's on the team.
James Prochet can also take
Exactly.
Jaquan Jackson's spot.
Competition, man. Got to facilitate it.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Cam and Shador Sanders, his quarterback coach, Daryl Colbert, on the show. We asked him, why did Cam Ward come for help with you, and where has he made adjustments and improvements? Quarterback coach Daryl Colbert explains to us on our show a couple of weeks ago exactly what growth he's seen in Cam Ward and who he was when he first started working with him.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, to tell the story all the time, when I first got with Cam, I watched, especially college guys, I watched their film, and I knew, how he played. It was after his first spring season at UIW. And, all the sidearm stuff, just a lot of stuff, his little wind up, a lot of things. And when I first worked with him, I'm like, okay, cool, we got some things we need to change up. But something told me to go back and just watch his film, watch his tape. And so I went and did that. I'm like, oh, well, man, we're not going to change none of this stuff, because this is who he is. This is what makes him him. This is what makes him special. So we ended up not changing those things, but we had a talk, and I was like, man, I'm not going to change your release, not going to change any of this stuff, but we want to perfect it. So we're going to, find ways to take out all the wasted movement. So what you're doing, it can be the best of your ability. So I think that's kind of where we met at. And I think that helped him, because I feel like maybe a lot of places that he had went, people were trying to, change him and be like, hey, you need to throw like the traditional thrower, but that's not who he is, and you can't make, everybody doesn't throw the same. So that's what made him special, and I think that's what made our relationship special, our getting it going on the right foot, I would say. So as we went on through the years, it was just, watching game film, seeing what we need to focus on, shortening up stride, base, being more rotational, a lot of little things, and then we just worked together with it, and, it's led us to where we are now.
That is Daryl Colbert here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will a few weeks ago talking about his pupil, Cam Ward. If you want to let Cam be Cam at the NFL level and continue to build around his strengths, how close is this roster to fitting an RPO-style system for Cam Ward?
How close is it? I think it's closer than it was for whatever Will Levis was trying to do, if that makes sense.
It does make sense,
What I mean by this is you got two dynamic backs that can grab the ball. I mean, you can fake the ball too and still throw two in the flats too. You're looking at the signing currently of of Tyler Lockett, right? Spoke about him, his ability to just find the open spaces. Those are the things you want to do, too. Chig being in a spot where he can benefit from the RPO style of, hey, at the line of scrimmage, now I think they got to go find a blocking tight end and somewhat supplement. Chig's not necessarily the strongest blocker, but his ability to fake and be able to show up the line of scrimmage and get down the middle of the seam is something that you want to see him do. I think it's closer to an offense that Cam Ward can run than it ever was what Levis was being asked to do last year, too. The parts that you've let go and brought in this year, I feel like this is where Cam needs to shine. His never die attitude, his ability to make lemonade out of lemons with this offense, with the parts that you have, because it's not a real superstar. It's not saying, hey, on this play, 3rd and 18, Justin Jefferson's down there. This is a team to where the quarterback is going to be expected to elevate the guys around him, and it starts on his shoulders the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely closer, like you said, than last year. And again, they had a different quarterback back there. Couple different quarterbacks back there. I think it also their main goal, guys, before they did anything or in terms of the draft analysis, is we had to create a different offensive line. And it all started there, and they said that that's what they had to do, right? And that's where everything comes in terms of production for a quarterback.
Look at me, I ain't even mentioned the offensive line.
I thought I would do that for you. And so
that.
I know not everybody was hunky-dory on every signing on the line, but guys, they did improve that offensive line across the board. And they did add depth. Now, we got to see if that all works together and if Lloyd Cushenberry, can be back, and they do have a backup for that as well. But that's where it started for me in just terms of any type of improvement that can help Cam Ward out, especially in an RPO situation.
So let's bring it all to a head, shall we? This offseason has been about Cam Ward. It has been about building an offense that Cam Ward can be successful in behind a more veteran offensive line with draft picks that will likely be used as pass-catching targets for him to throw to. Did the Titans get it right? They're not going to trade back. They were never in on the expensive veteran quarterbacks like Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, or Aaron Rodgers. Did they get it right by going with Cam Ward? Would love to get your thoughts. 615-737-1045. We'll give you our answers to that next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Right now, they're offering a big deal for Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, man, who will not give up on you. When it comes to your back and knee pain, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are in the trenches fighting with you right now, all right, to battle that pain off. Again, I told you they're giving 47% off the non-surgical spinal decompression machines. And you're probably thinking yourself, Ramon, that's not for me. I'm telling you, it is. I've used it. I've seen older individuals. I've seen younger individuals. I've seen men, women, all types of folks in their facility, man, and they're just good at it. Best part about it, too, is there would not be a long wait. Within 5 minutes, they get you to the back to help give you your pain relief that you're looking for, whether they're laying you down on their zero-gravity machines to help pull just a little bit, or their state-of-the-art spinal decompression machines. Listen, this is some of the best around. It rivals some professional facilities I've seen in the NFL. To start your life off pain-free again, and it is possible, reach out to the company that I trust, man. It's the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You can call them at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. You can celebrate draft day with a cinnamon roll, with a waffle breakfast sandwich, with a coffee from Scooter's Coffee this morning. You should celebrate that every day. White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Make it a part of your morning routine on the way in to work, and you will thank us later. Did the Titans get it right? That is the poll question we posed to you on Twitter. We'll retweet it right now, at Ramon Kayla Will. With everything that you have heard, Lord, we've been in draft season since about week 16 here on this show and many others on this radio station. So we put it pretty simply here at the end of the process. And again, I feel like we always give the disclaimer. If you're just joining draft discussion or if you've been here since day one, we all have the same verdict to make. Are the Titans making the right decision by drafting Cam Ward tonight, Ramon Foster?
Yes, they are. It's not a guarantee that you're going to end up having this position again, and there's no guarantee that the quarterbacks that we deem to be that good are going to be those top guys. You have the one opportunity. You like it to be rare because Coach Brian Callahan said that of picking number 1 overall, and you earned it. And in earning that, Will, you can't bank on, hey, we'll tank again. Hey, we'll try to pick in the top again. So with it being Cam Ward, number 1 overall, and it is, yes, even I've been on this tank. Well, the ratings aren't there to justify the number 1 overall pick, but the position does, the need does, the ability to evaluate his tape to say he's your man, you take him. So, yeah, it's the right decision to be made for a team that's looking for a guy like this more than anything. Looking for a guy like this, I think, is the biggest part because I didn't think Tannehill, outside the building from what we could see, had a strong personality. Will Levis had too strong of a personality. Kayla spoke about the quiet confidence that a guy like Cam Ward possesses, and I think that's the happy medium as far as person that you look for. The playmaking, that's on coaches and him at this point.
For sure.
We know Kayla's answer. Kayla, tell us why this is the right move for the Titans to make.
Yeah, I think you have to start at the reality of the situation. When you have the number 1 overall pick and you have the best quarterback available to you, although he might not be, for some analysts, the best quarterback in the last 4 years available at that spot, I don't think you can pass up on a guy like that if you did your due diligence and actually found out that this guy could be the guy. And then you're going to be getting a quarterback for the next few years on the cheap. I mean, let's just be honest with the situation that organizations are in, because now this can allow you to continue to build your roster too, or to give guys deals and to keep guys, which you do want to do that too in the future. You don't want to just be bringing in new players every year when you're trying to actually build a team for when you're putting bodies in that new stadium. It also is now saying this is the face and will be the face of our franchise moving forward. And I think at some point you had to know you had to do that. And if they felt comfortable enough with doing that with Cam Ward, I think absolutely all of that says they got it right.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what's next, because I think this pick has the potential to save the Titans at a very critical moment in its history. Cam Ward could be the savior of the Titans at a very tumultuous time in the history of this organization. And the thing that you need desperately is to be competent when that new building opens. Yeah. In an era where there is change on and off the field, it does feel like, heck, maybe I'm too inundated in our world, but in a world where you're going to have a new voice, you're going to have a new sound, a new brand. I think this organization, a new jersey, those things aren't coincidences. There is a new era of Titans football that is about to begin when new Nissan Stadium opens. And I think everybody in that building is gearing up for a new era, a new age. They desperately want Cam Ward to be the face of that renaissance, of the next iteration of Titans football here in Nashville. Think about if he hits, if he's close to his ceiling, how much of a legend Cam Ward can be in this town. That's not to put too high of expectations on him. I'm not saying his ceiling is the expectation. I'm saying let's play the what-if game. If this works, then you have got a new stadium, you've got a new look team, you've got a franchise quarterback moving forward, and all of a sudden it's cool to be a Tennessee Titans fan again. That is what you are banking on and taking the risk on tonight by making him a Titan, and it does really, really intrigue me with all the other changes going on in this organization.
No doubt about it. And not just that too. I know we got callers. I want to hear them in a second also. But
We'll get there, yeah.
You were here covering, well, you were living here watching the team too. This reminds me of, and we ain't even correlated to anything. He's from Texas. Ownership's from Texas. This is another opportunity to get a high draft pick at quarterback from the state of Texas, essentially, through Miami. What if Cam Ward turns into what Vince Young should have been, in a sense? Meaning the decision-making. Meaning, now, I don't think he's as big as, that's what I was about to get to. I don't think he's
For those who are not
big,
watching on his own TV, Kayla's pointing to her head.
Yeah, meaning like Vince was a way better athlete, and I say that with all due respect to what I've seen Cam Ward be,
no doubt.
right? Like, and there's nothing wrong in that. But the balance of taking away his legs to incorporate more of his brain and his ability to decision make, like Vince's ability to have been a face, the guy in the NFL, was dropped so quick, so fast. And to be able to spin the block again to get that out of Cam Ward, man, I mean, Miss Amy got to be, I'm doing cartwheels right now if they can do that. Like, not to say her dad missed on Vince, because Vince is Rookie of the Year, Madden cover, et cetera.
He's so good.
But if it could be her to be a part of this regime with him, I mean, Cartwheel City is where she need to be at.
Because a lot of the quarterbacks, since she's taken over, they just look. I love Marcus Mariota, and I think I don't think he's a bust, but you just couldn't take it to the next level with him, with the injuries that happened, and kind of, in my opinion, the strong leadership you need in a room like that. I just don't think he had it all to work here. But you're right, Moan. For her to hit on the quarterback and to have that quarterback here potentially be huge.
I still don't totally love Cam Ward. I am not totally on the train that he is just a bona fide superstar in this league, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't think there's anyone else this organization could have feasibly taken with the number 1 overall pick to be the best version of itself moving forward. The only thing I would have rather done is trade back. Still. Now, we have no idea what those offers are. We don't know. It's hard to live in that world without knowing and being a fly on the wall for calls with the Cleveland Browns or New York Giants or New York Jets or whoever else. So, yes, I think it's the right decision to draft Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick, even though I was on the Sam Darnold train at the beginning of the offseason and still think that would have been a better pathway forward. I'm willing to let this play out and sit and wait. And it's going to be a waiting game because Cam Ward is going to need time to grow and develop and sync his internal clock with NFL edge rushers coming after him and NFL defensive backs covering his wide receivers.
Real quick, is it important for him to be a superstar or to just be good? Because I don't look at Brock Purdy as a superstar. I know he has name recognition. I don't look at Jared Goff as a superstar. He has name recognition. I don't look at, and I'm going through this list right now, Justin Herbert as being a superstar. He's got name recognition. How big of a star are we expecting him to be versus what you want him to do? Because I will be fine. I know this fan base will be fine if we got Brock Purdy at home. Right? Like that to me, I think is a success of what you're saying. Like the ability to continue to have him help you win games and also make other people around you better. The most important part that he's got to do here in this city, in my opinion, is to show that he can help facilitate making people better to win games.
Yeah, and I'm so what I'll say, what I'm with you on that point, Moan, is that it's got to be over time. It's got to be making right decisions at a lot of different positions, right? And he's got to elevate everybody offensively and the team just being a leader for the future. The only difference I think Titans fans will maybe look at this, Moan, and say, well, we want him to be a superstar is, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. This guy's your number 1 overall pick.
Well, there it is.
Right?
Okay, yeah. He's expected to be.
Right.
That's true, but there's a lot of guys in this this draft class, whatever, that turned out to be better based upon where they was drafted at, too.
I think Marcus Mariota was a bust based on what he was, where he was picked as well. But we can also say that is true while also acknowledging that the organization did not set up Marcus Mariota to be successful. It doesn't mean he's not a bust. It means the Titans had a hand in him becoming a bust. They can't make that mistake again. They cannot make that mistake again. You have to continue surrounding Cam Ward with the best possible circumstances to be successful. I would rather go 5-12 this season with Cam Ward being the guy than 6-11 because the defense won you some games. I would rather overcorrect this season and surround him with weapons to where we are going into 2026 saying, hey, last year at Nissan Stadium could be kind of fun with Cam Ward. Let's send this building out with a bang. 2027, you're competing for the division. Like, again, I'm thinking very far down the road. They are off to a good start with the way they built him an offensive line. Kevin Zeitler at right guard, Dan Moore, a little bit controversial, but certainly more of a proven commodity than the other names you've had playing tackles for this organization. They've actually gone out and found veteran depth who has played. They're not relying on guys like Jalen Duncan or Nicholas Petit-Frere to figure it out in real time. No, they got guys who have figured out how to be backup linemen, who can step in and not get your quarterback smothered. Continue doing that at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
That's what you have to continue to do. I want 2 receivers in this draft and still be on the market for free agents, in addition to Tyler Lockett.
Beautiful.
You have got to make sure you don't let Marcus Mariota happen again in Cam Ward.
Because you know what happened to him that first 2 years or so. Like, that line was atrocious, and they weren't fixing it. Like,
where here?
Yeah,
for Marcus?
for Mariota. I mean, they were not helping him.
It's true. Other than Taylor,
Right.
they could not get that line right. Could not get it right.
That sucks.
You can't afford to repeat that because Cam Ward's worst instincts will come out if he's constantly under pressure. Constantly under pressure. Let's go to the phones. Mayor Ron, first up. Is Cam Ward the right decision for the Titans? 615-737-1045. Hey, Ron.
Good morning. Isn't this exciting? It's like getting ready for the Super Bowl. You know, you're nervous, you pace around all day, and you're like, you just can't wait for 5 o'clock tonight to find out what exactly is going to happen. And I think that Cameron Ward is the answer because it's the most needed thing. Now, earlier you made a comment, Mason Rudolph, by some experts, would be third in this year's draft. Last year, Cameron Ward would not even be, he may be 5th best quarterback. So we can't get super hyped up and build him up as if he's Superman because he's got a lot of work to do. We know that. Yeah. But he's got a great opportunity starting out. With throwing Ridley on one side and Lockett on the other, man, you better get a tight end or a slot receiver because those 2 guys can spread the field and leave it wide open. And it should be an easy dump off to get confidence and start learning. And an offensive line that's going to give him time. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited about the fact that we're taking Cameron Ward. But I also hesitate on trusting the front office because they said they were going to draft and develop and get as many picks as they could. And now we're putting all our eggs in one basket, and we're only taking 8 picks.
Right. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate the call. I don't think that is set in stone, that you only have that amount of picks. I still think they would love to trade back at number 35 if there's not a player they are in love with at the top of the second round, which would be a conversation for tomorrow once we know who is available at the top of the second round. Yeah. We go next to Doc, who is up next. Hey, Doc. What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? Yeah.
Hey, y'all got it. Y'all got it right. I appreciate y'all. How's everyone doing today?
Absolutely.
All right. Good morning.
I'm going to kind of give you a bit of a non-answer. I think.
Boo!
No. Hear me out.
Okay,
it's similar to what Will was saying. I think the Titans are setting themselves up to make the right decision, and they are doing things to get the right outcome. Will it be the right decision? We won't know for years. Ideally, it is. I'd love for Cam Ward to come in and light this town on fire, but frankly, we won't know. But they are actually setting it up correct this time. They're giving him the weapons. They're giving him the protection. So, hey, you build it right. Hopefully when you hit the switch, it turns on, but maybe it doesn't. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate the call.
Doc. I love that name.
Just got a beep. You hear his beeper going off?
Yeah. Maybe he's in the facility. What is it?
He might be a doctor. He might be in the ER room or something. I don't know. I'm just so thankful to y'all, by the way. Like, I'm so thankful that every single fan that we have call in these days, the acknowledgement of how important the offensive line is.
They've been listening.
You feel
for a
personally
while,
responsible of the O-line appreciation levels that have been raised in Nashville? Mm-hmm. I feel like you should.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I was just writing down the potential starting offensive line right here, and I still just have one question mark to your point. Like, who do you facilitate to play center this year with Cushenberry, the Achilles?
Right.
That's the one injury personally that I was so afraid of and still am. Like, I stretch my Achilles before I run these days, okay? And I know I know Lloyd Cushenberry is way younger than I am right now, but, like, who at center? The four that I have penciled in, love them, right? And I think Cam Ward would absolutely love them. I'm talking about Dan at left, Peter at left, Zeitler, and JC. That right there is a solid
That's nice.
four.
On paper, it should be
On paper, it's nice.
at least average in the NFL.
I'm talking about give me a ball.
Steve Palazzolo of the 33rd team has taught us that the goal of every bad offensive line should be to get back to average.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We can work with that.
Give it to us.
Can certainly work with that. Your backup center is Sam Mustipher.
And
that's probably your guy to start the season if Lloyd Cushenberry is not available. He's made 42 starts at center. Like, that's what I love. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This offensive line has depth. Of where a guy who's made 42 starts at center and seen action in 64 NFL games is the one you're penciling in behind your injured starter and not a day 3 pick you hope grows up this year.
Yep.
It's the biggest mistake that Rand Carthon and the previous regime made, was relying on too many guys who you hoped would rise to the occasion, and hardly any of them did, other than Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Facts.
You've got more proven commodities.
I like the idea. And on top of it, you got Corey Levin and Andrew Rupsich, who are still on staff, too. I didn't realize Levin's 7 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. He's been around.
And he's kind of just quietly been here almost.
My boy, keep tricking him.
Hopefully none of these guys will retire and then come back the next training camp like Sadiq Charles did last year.
Let's not have that.
Which, to be fair to the last regime also, they would have loved to have him available as well, because he was another veteran who'd played.
Now he's where again?
Dallas.
I believe Dallas. Yes.
Oh, geez. They were the one team.
Chris, up next to the phones. Hey, Chris.
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, I'm very excited about Cam Ward, but my greatest fear is if you look at the most successful teams in the NFL, what do they all have in common? Stability. You look at Andy Reid and Mahomes and Baltimore and Buffalo. I mean, they're all stable with their head coach and their quarterback. My greatest fear is Brian Callahan. You guys tell me what you saw from Brian Callahan last year that gives you hope that he's going to be able to turn it around, because that's what I'm worried about. And then if it doesn't work out, they have another bad season, Cam's going to be having to work with a whole new coaching staff in his second year, and that's not stability.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call, Chris.
It all that decision to move Callahan is all dependent upon who you if Callie, if you listen, I ain't trying to get you fired. If you have to replace him, right? If our guy made that call right there, right, and Callahan gets let go at 2-15, let's just throw that out there. But Mike Tomlin becomes available. You still feel that way about him working with a new quarterback? Right?
It's a fair point.
You see what I'm saying?
It's a fair point. Yeah. It's like the Patriots moving on from their one-year head coach because, hey, Mike Vrabel became available.
Because that's immediately what I thought about is Drake May. I'm sure the Patriots feel a whole lot better about Mike Vrabel walking in that building.
And it depends on who your offensive coordinator is, right? And
but
who you hire.
To start at the top, though, the head coach being the dude, like, if it's somebody that comes with a little bit more stock, right? You don't have this same feeling, oh, I'm worried about Cam development or whatnot. Look at Sean Payton, right? I keep saying right. Look at Sean Payton going to Denver. They felt better about that situation. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got to be worried about the guys. It's who's in command.
It's a good point.
Right. And you do wonder on the other side, in terms of Callahan, why it could work for him is, again, like, he took the job. It's a head coaching job. It's hard to turn down head coaching jobs in the NFL. There's only 32 of them. So last year when he took on the, challenge of working with a quarterback that he did not bring in, right? That he had no say in at all. There's that side to argue too, that there were a lot of things that did not work here last year. And he was a first-time play caller, getting the handle of being a coordinator, a play caller and a head coach. I think that's all settled down for him a little. So I'm willing to say, it can work for him, but you've got to see some results in terms of wins. Absolutely.
For sure. We're going to get our answer on Brian Callahan in 2025.
Yeah.
See if he can do it.
Yeah.
With a legit starting quarterback, which Will Levis was not. 615-737-1045. Your thoughts on Cam Ward of the Titans. Did the Titans make the right decision not going after these veterans and deciding that Cam Ward is QB1 in Nashville? More of your calls next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. The only thing that's predictable about the weather in Nashville is that it's unpredictable. Make sure your home is ready for the next storm or heat wave with the Lee Company Home Maintenance Plan. Sign up today, and for $12 a month, their expert technicians will come out 4 times a year to take care of your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems. That's right, AC, heating, plumbing, and electrical by one professional team. Guys, it is the best way to stay ahead of Mother Nature and the always unpredictability of what we get here in Middle Tennessee. Check Lee Company out online at leecompany.com, or you can call them 615-567-1000. Just $12 a month. You get 4 visits a year from the Lee Company team of experts. 615-567-1000 and online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company. All you need. RKW 1045, The Zone is brewed by Scooter's Coffee. Wide open for your reaction. Are the Titans making the right decision by bringing in Cam Ward to be QB1 with the number 1 overall pick of the 2025 NFL Draft? 615-737-1045. We begin with Ryan first up. Hey, Ryan.
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Great. Good morning.
Yeah, so I want to talk about a little bit about the draft. I mean, you guys were talking about what if, Cam Ward does come to Tennessee and become a superstar, but what if it doesn't work out? And you guys were talking about head coaches just a minute ago, but what if it doesn't work out and then we get a new head coach and then they want to go get his guy in the next draft? So that's what I want to talk about. What if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
And I'll listen to you guys and thank you guys for everything you do.
Thank you, Ryan. So let's play that game then, shall we? Let's go the negative route. Mm-hmm. Cam Ward isn't good this year. Let's keep it specific to this year. Does Brian Callahan get an automatic 2 years to work with Cam? What would it take to have to make a change there?
See, that's the thing, too. Brian Callahan's job isn't just the quarterback, too. It's if the defense takes a backslide, right? If they look like they're a little league team out there, that plays a bit bigger part into it than actually I think the quarterback does at this point. But if that is the case and Cam doesn't look good, I think you knock him because Will Levis didn't look good. You 0 for 2. I mean, just a quick answer. He's 0 for 2 at that point.
Right.
I'm kind of on the same lines as you are on that because, and I think like wins are important this year, but I think more so than anything, I almost see Cam Ward's development and him getting better game by game is important. And that I think somebody posed the question, like, would you rather have 6 wins?
Daniel Jeremiah yesterday.
Yeah. What was that whole quote? Because
he asked, would you rather go 6-11 because the defense is pretty good, or go 5-12 and Cam Ward's great because you gave him more weapons in year 1, but your defense isn't as good?
Yeah, and I think part of that too goes on, is Callahan helping that? Right? Is Callahan helping? And if he can't, and you see Cam Ward not getting better throughout the season, but maybe they have a couple more wins than last year, I still think then at that point you probably got to say we got to get a different direction in terms of the quarterback, because then that's 2, like you mentioned, Moan, that you're not improving.
It just depends, right? If they win 3 games in a row and then go on a 14-game losing streak,
right, you're
probably looking for another coach. If you start 1-9 and then you start cooking a little bit, you win 3 of your last 4, right? Like you have the arrow pointing up at the end of the season. Like, not every 4-13 season is created equally. No. If you finish with a 3-game win streak, maybe there's enough there. Hey, what did we do differently? Yeah. What did we find? So it's hard to have this conversation in April when a lot of the roster hasn't been constructed. Plus, you don't know how you're getting to that number. What I will say is you could just be the Bears, right? Like, I don't think it would be, hey, we're going to bring in this coach and let them pick their quarterback. You would pick a coach, if you did hypothetically fire Brian Callahan after this season, who wanted to work with Cam Ward. Like, that was the whole thing about Ben Johnson picking the Bears over other options. I know I want to work with Caleb Williams. I want to go here where there's a quarterback, where there's a young guy that I can mold and develop. And so I don't think it's a foregone conclusion you'd necessarily just hire a coach who wants to bring in his own guy.
What it is, he hadn't been around long enough in this business as a head coach to buy himself some stock, though, too. Right. Because what I would say is history's just not on his side. Matt Rule in Carolina,
Matt Eberflus in Chicago,
and also Gerard Mayo in New England. History's not on his side right now.
Unfortunately, that's the league, right? Just as it is for players and quarterbacks kind of getting a couple years to prove it, it's the same for head coaches that are new. And I think everybody wants this to work out, of course, because the stability, a caller brought this up earlier, you want the stability of the program to start happening now so that when you move into the new stadium, it's here. Yeah. And so you really do want this to work out with Callie.
Bo up next, 615-737-1045. Hey, Bo.
Hey, good morning, y'all.
Morning.
I have a little bit different look at this. I don't think Callie is the problem. I don't think his dad's the problem. I think the problem is the front office needs to hire the right people and get out of the way. And so y'all talked about stability, like with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. The owners don't meddle. They hire the people and walk away.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bo. Appreciate the call.
So he
said hire the right people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That plays a huge part in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got Mike Borgonzi here now.
We've had that conversation, too, about it's never been a line as of late with hire the GM, then the coach. Fire the GM, then hire the coach. Like, it's been a lot of that, too. So I agree with him on that. Stability.
That's a big reason why Patrick Mahomes ended up being who he was. He had stability of Andy Reid since he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Borgonzi talked about that the other day, no doubt. Justin up next. What's up, Justin?
What's up?
What you
Hey, guys, I think that the Titans draft actually starts in the second round. Obviously, we're going to take Cam. But are we going to go defense in the second round? And I would like to deep dive into the real red flags of James Pierce. There's a lot of talk about he's a red flag guy. He's got an attitude. But nobody ever has any valid reason why he's a red flag. Thanks.
Thank you, Justin.
Moan, you want to take that one?
The thing on James Pierce Jr., like, I could divulge all of that, but it's not appropriate, to be quite honest with you, because the way I get a story versus what actually happened from a third or fourth party might not align to what the reality of the situation was. What I would tell you this about anybody that's ever come into this league, there's been a million, and this is no excuse making for him. I took up for Jalen Carter last year, right, or 2 years ago. Like,
yeah, you've been consistent. It's not just because he's a fall.
Right.
If sir, you can play in this league, you will be drafted, you will play. It doesn't matter if you're an undrafted guy. It doesn't matter if you're the first overall guy. You got issues. We're talking about Laramie Tunsil with a gas mask on.
He's been good.
How many times we talked about the gas mask other than a joke, other than him being a Pro Bowl All-Pro? If you got talent in the NFL, there's one thing about this league. It's not many human beings that can do this job. You're going to get hired. And the same way I feel about James right now, this conversation, the Falcons taking him at 15.
Mm-hmm.
You want him. You do. You say what you want to about it. It ain't many 6'5", 240-pound players running 4.4s. Tell me, how many?
Not many.
He going to get it at some point.
Right. The second-round pick, it's hard to have that discussion without knowing confidently who is available to be picked. At number 35, if Luther Burden falls to you at the number 35 overall pick, he is my number one choice. Sprint to the podium and run a 4.4 up those stairs. Keith Bullock, who will be making that announcement on Friday night. But I do think that you have given yourselves options by signing Tyler Lockett late last night. You don't have to take a wide receiver with the number 35 overall pick. And there is going to be a run on edge rushers at either the late part of the first round or the early part of the second round. I think I would take edge rusher or wide receiver against the field in terms of what you could get at 35 based on where those players are put in a lot of consensus draft boards. But I would guess that they will take offense. It's just hard to know that without knowing who's there, because this is a very unpredictable draft, according to a lot of analysts who are in the know entering this morning.
Even with Bully making the call?
Yeah, right,
Well, yeah.
right.
Keith Bullock
'Cause
might
he
go
is
up
a
there and say,
defensive guy.
I know I'm supposed to take Emeka Buka, but with the 35th pick from the University of Tennessee, James Pierce Jr.
They could still trade down too. I still believe there is an opportunity.
No doubt.
Now that depends too on what happens with QBs.
Facts.
No doubt. Of course, tonight's Titans radio coverage of the first round of the NFL draft begins at 6 o'clock. Every selection you can't get anywhere else. Rhett Bryan, Amy Wells, Ramon Foster, Dave McGinnis, the new voice of the Titans, Taylor Zarzer, will make an appearance as well. Live from the Titans draft party. Draft coverage is presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans, making health coverage easy since 1947. Hour 4. We'll tell you what Coach Mack had to say about Cam Ward. If you're just waking up, starting your work day, we got the audio for you. If you weren't up at 7:20 this morning, coming up for you next.
You've been hearing about it, good people, man. The jury buying event everyone waits for is here this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's Genesis Diamond's biggest event of the year, and it's 3 days only. Unbelievable store-wide savings, up to 35% off some items also. And the selection is like double the norm, with top bridal designers coming in showcasing all new collections, beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces, including all new engagement ring mountings. It's more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you never thought possible, too. They'll have rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, stunning fashion jewelry that you won't find anywhere else. So check out Thousands of engagement ring settings in gold and platinum. Also, get special pricing on natural as well as lab-grown diamonds. This is an event where Genesis staff knows they can break all of the rules. And if you have a special event coming up, graduation, engagement, anniversaries, birthdays, new baby, whatever, this is a spectacular event to get that top gift that you want at a huge discount too. Store-wide savings up to 35%, special financing available. There's only one catch. It's for 3 days only. So get there this weekend, Friday through Sunday at Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Good Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. From the 104.5 The Zone Studios, I'm Justin Hawkins. Happy draft day to all who celebrate. Tune in tonight at 6 p.m. right here on 104.5 The Zone after 3HL concludes to hear Titans Radio's award-winning coverage of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. You can hear every selection and analysis, including the Tennessee Titans' #1 overall pick that is presumed to be Miami quarterback Cam Ward. And in case you missed it over the night, the Tennessee Titans have a new receiver, signing veteran wide receiver and former Seattle Seahawk Tyler Lockett to a one-year, $4 million deal that's worth up to $6 million per multiple sources. The 10-year pro played his entire career in Seattle to this point, amassing 8,594 yards, 61 touchdowns on 661 receptions, including 4 1,000-yard seasons from 2019 and 2022. Last season, Tyler Lockett had 600 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns on 49 receptions, and he played in all 17 games. In the NBA playoffs with the Memphis Grizzlies, the series shifts to Memphis as they look to avoid an 0-3 hole against the Oklahoma City Thunder. No team has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit in the NBA playoffs. That tip-off is tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Thursday morning, draft day in hour 4 already on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins is our producer. We are brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Coming up in 15 minutes, we will be joined by 3HL and SEC Network, ESPN's Dawn Davenport, who I forgot to remind last night that she was coming on our show this morning. So I think we will be joined coming up next by Dawn Davenport.
She'll be up.
I texted her the other day. Well, I know she'll be up, but I texted her the other day, and she was like, yeah, sure. Just remind me on Wednesday night. And I did not remind her. So, Dawn, if you're out there listening, this is your reminder.
Well, we
you're
can
coming
get some
up in 15
payback.
minutes.
I'll just not answer the phone this evening then. Because I go on 3HL today. I'll just choose to be busy. How about that then?
That's funny.
Don't pick up at Babsy. Don't pick up. We got this little feud going back and forth. I dare you not to pick up.
What's your feud with Dawn?
It's just what we do from time to time. She like to talk trash, and I like to talk trash back to her.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
See what I'm saying? I just like to mess with Babs from time to time. But don't pick up that phone. I'm going to make Zeph so nervous. God, I can't wait to make Joseph nervous.
We have
You've done that before.
I have.
We have 50% of the Cam Ward lovers on this station already on this show, so I figured we'd add just the other one.
Yeah.
We'll have 100%
There you go.
of the day one Cam Ward advocates. But Dawn with an interesting perspective of someone who did that Syracuse-Miami game on ABC.
You know she didn't just cover that game of Cam.
Yeah.
She covered the Apple Cup back in 2022.
She did.
I did not know that. I'm not often tuned into the
Washington.
Apple Cup. I was not familiar.
Where was the game at?
Back in Pullman, Washington,
Babsy
when it
went
was
all
a
the way out there?
cold night. Yeah, I have the tweet right here of when I showed my Go Cougs that day on the show.
Yeah.
And was like, by the way, Babsy's doing the broadcast. And she might not remember because it was so cold. Like, she was not happy with it being that cold.
Ron Slay has joined the feud now that Ramon is trying to start with Dawn and says, no slander for Babsy, and I'm not coming in tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. He almost has one more up on us.
He does. Yeah. It's all right.
He is he's got the trump card being our 9:20 segment tomorrow. So
I cut my nose off to spite my face,
I am on the record that there will be no Dawn Davenport slander on this radio program.
It
So.
ain't even slander. We just gotta, we walk by each other in the hallway.
don't do it.
I give him the shoulder.
Don't
I
do
give
it.
her the shoulder
The
bump real
shoulder.
quick. I just want to give the shoulder bump real quick. That's all. Just, hey, how you doing today? I can't do that. We can do that in the hallway, right? Look, now Savage texting me. God. I want to shake tomorrow, Savage. You're right. I'm gonna leave it alone.
That's smart. Smart. Yeah, please. We want to be coasting into our weekend
Yeah.
this time tomorrow. Not looking for another guest this time tomorrow. Anyway, Cam Ward will become a Titan tonight. Tyler Lockett became a Titan last night. He even confirmed it on his social media, which is a pretty good source, considering he is the one making the signing. 600 yards last year for Seattle, just under 900 yards in 2023, starting all 17 games. And he'll be a good addition into this wide receiver room. Wide receiver 3, we think? Wide receiver 2? TBD, based on who they draft?
Right now, 2, but if they draft a guy in the second round, I could see him being 3.
He's got to be, too. He's played that role with DK Metcalf for a while. Now, again, Bryce Oliver been a part of this conversation, Colton Dowell. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that got to go prove themselves. Traylon Burks getting back healthy. Like, there are bodies. What you smiling for?
What?
Because I mentioned Traylon?
No, you just continue.
But
I want Colton Dowell to be successful. He would not be in the first group of receivers. I'm expecting a good level of production from this. Local guy. I want him to be a success. I don't want to be mean.
Shout out to the Noops, man. He's my brother in fraternity. All right, okay, Kappa Alpha Psi. Just hey, listen. We don't know what his bounce back year gonna be.
We do not know. I think he's a special teamer primarily, more so than a target.
What I was getting to was there's a lot of bodies with unproven cases on them, Kayla, is all I'm saying. They got to go prove themselves, and I'm here for that. This is the optimistic time of the year.
It is. Hey, Babs wants to know in the text, what did you start today?
Yeah, Dawn Davenport does, and I guess this worked because now Dawn got her reminder.
Yeah, she
since
did.
I forgot to remind her last night that she was coming on our show today, and is aware that there was slander from one Ramon Foster this morning. Ramon, do you want to explain yourself to Don, who will join us in 15 minutes?
The fact that you said that she needed a warning to get up the night before, and I told her, don't get up then, Babsy. Don't get up and not make this show. It was an open threat, but a soft one. Okay? It was a soft threat, but I also, Babs, if you're still listening, I got threatened by my brother, Ron, that said, well, if you threaten her, then I threaten not to come on y'all's show.
We have back-to-back open threats from family members
We
this
need
morning.
each other is what I'm saying, Babs. But every once in a while, I like to jab you and you jab back from time to time. A little shoulder check.
This is a symbiotic relationship.
It is. And it ain't no malice, ain't no hate whatsoever. We just joke each other every once in a while.
On the show. That sounded real.
That
like,
could be her.
our show
She's
live.
basically telling me, Ramon, do your job. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Earlier this morning, Coach Dave McGinnis joined us, and Titans Radio's head coach gave his breakdown of the man who will become a Tennessee Titan tonight in one Cameron Ward.
Well, he's able to handle the game, and when I say handle the game, especially from the quarterback position, this is true for all positions. I mean, those guys when they start playing, everybody's under pressure during the game, but you've got to be able to, and everybody is going to have plays that don't go the way they want them to go. But how you handle those down moments and those bad moments within the time frame of that game, and be able to come back and overcome that, and still uplift your football team, that's extremely important. That's what this guy has done. I mean, you're not going to find when you get on film and really start grinding it, if you want to be honest, there's no pure player that has never made a mistake at whatever position he's at. Cam Ward is no different. The difference that separates these guys is the ones that are able to put it behind them in the moment, not after 2 or 3 days of reflection on it once the game is over, but at the moment, and get back on track. He's always been able to do that. Now, he is a gunslinger. He's a gunslinger. He has been. He always has been. I'm looking forward to seeing his growth in that area, because he has been unique in the fact that from where he started, the level of competition and play, he's experienced different levels, all through the stage of his career, and this is another one he's going to have to experience. But if he can keep that same mindset and be able to uplift his team past the bad plays, that's what separates these guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
And you'll get more analysis like that tonight on Titans Radio's coverage of the NFL Draft. But good insight from Mac on what makes Cam Ward a little bit different.
You know the saying, there's a saying, the same things make you laugh, make you cry, right? That's usually how it goes. Laugh now, cry later, all that type of stuff. This gunslinger thing has been thrown around a good bit from time to time, and it's a huge attribute to Cam Ward. At what point would you be just tired of it, expecting to make the next move? Like if it becomes a little bit too much improv, is that something you you think Callahan can bring back in because he had his troubles trying to reconfigure Will Levis last year. I just don't want that to always be his go-to. I mean, Mahomes is still a gunslinger. Josh Allen still is also. You just want to see those plays connect and make it all right.
And at least you can go back of, what Max said, what we said so many times on this show is, the only thing that's different that I see right away with that in a Will Levis is Cam's proven that he's been able to reset very, very many times at different places, right? Yeah. And Will Levis, just he couldn't reset at times. and it's almost like things stuck with him for days after. Yeah. You can't do that. You got to reset the next play. And you didn't see that.
Also, another thing Dane Jeremiah brought up yesterday with us, too, is the conversation on Levis also. Now, we've spoken and compared and, used him as an example numerous times. But I was glad that Dane Jeremiah somewhat said that yesterday. It's just like if Cam is in that room, then you probably got to relieve yourself of Will Levis.
You know what I'm telling Will Levis? I'm going to bring him in the office and say, Will, have a seat, buddy. What does Italy look like?
Oh, no.
What? Not a rhetorical question. What does Italy look like? The country of Italy. A boot. Yeah, that's what you're getting, bud. We'll see you.
Oh, my God.
You're getting booted.
I was actually thinking.
I was like, wait, is he going to go play football over there?
We'll see you, pal. Stick around for training camp a little bit. We might have you, the preseason hero. But what does Italy look like? A boot.
That was solid.
A boot. That's what I'm giving Will Levis before week one.
Before week one.
We'll see you, pal. Take your cologne with you. Respectfully.
Cam Bam in the chat, a boot.
Yeah, that's right.
He was right on with it. I was lost. I was just like, well, it's probably an old architect and it's a lot of nice history there. No, you said a boot, and I'm here for it.
This morning at TennesseeTitans.com, Jim Wyatt has over 100 picks for the Tennessee Titans at number 1. Not all of them are Cam Ward. Including Robert Walsh, who has North Carolina guard Willie Lampkin as his number 1 overall pick for the Tennessee Titans. Gosh.
God, he is. Hey, I'll give it to
the highlight of the Buck Rising show.
He is stuck with his guy.
Robert Ward? Kayla loves Cam Ward so much she can't stop saying his name. For years now, we've learned this on this radio show.
We're going to detox you, Kayla, at some point.
Well, that's going to be hard, Mo, because I have no alcohol ever in my body.
I know. You don't drink alcohol?
Not unless I'm doing a big
not on this show.
Weekend. Y'all maybe want me with that on the show. Tequila
I'm good.
Kayla on the show would be real fun.
I'm great. I'm great with sober Kayla from 6 to 10.
Don't act like I
am perfectly content.
I will bring in a bottle, okay?
Coming up next, 3HL's Don Davenport, who I did not remind last night is coming on the show, who now knows she's coming on the show, confirmed next. RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. The theme music you hear on 3HL weekdays from 3 to 6. She is ESPN's 3HL's our own Dawn Davenport joining us this morning. Hello, Dawn. How are you?
Oh, good morning, fools. Good thing I'm here because Will Bowling didn't remind me that I was coming on with y'all last night. I told him to.
See,
yeah, guys forget a lot.
What this means is I just have such high respect for Dawn Davenport, who keeps together her very busy schedule so well between television, between radio, between Dance Mom full time. Dawn, I just respect your ability to be organized so much that I just didn't feel like I needed to.
Yeah, that's a good spin. Good job,
Thank you.
Cole.
Thank
the real question is, how are you enjoying Dance Mom life real quick?
Can I plead the fifth on that?
It looks like you're having fun.
They may actually be listening now, Bev.
That is very true. Listen, when I do something, I dive all in, and I got the rhinestone shirt. I got the In My Dance Mom era shirt. I put a big old bow in my hair. Listen, I'm all in. I have the little photo button. Let's go.
I love it. All right, Dawn. So you have been on the Cam Ward train since the very beginning of the draft process, and I know you have seen him at multiple stops now play quarterback. Going to the most recent meeting you had with him and with Miami coaches leading up to their game against Syracuse that you did this year, what makes Cam Ward the right fit right now in your mind for the Tennessee Titans?
Well, I think he would be a right fit for any franchise needing a leader and a quarterback at this point. And he's special. He's different. His path and his journey has been different. And you think Will Levis, right? And we watched him on the sideline and how emotional and, maybe a little bit out of control he kind of was and is on the sideline during a game. Cam Ward is the complete opposite. And I say that just because I got to see him in a moment that was the biggest in the entire season for them. As in, they were trailing Syracuse. If they did not win that game, they would not be in the college football playoff, and they knew it. So I got to see how he handled that adversity and that moment in person, right up close. And that was, now I kind of liked him, fell in love with him prior to even, watching him and his demeanor in that game. But talking to some of his teammates, just the way that they responded to him in that moment and the way he handled himself. So I chatted with Restrepo, his wide receiver, who I absolutely love on top of it, by the way. You want to talk about a grinder, that guy is. But, multiple teammates described him, couldn't describe him almost, his mentality, how he's obsessed at winning at everything. And I know that we can say that about a lot of professional athletes, but the stories that they told about him were just next level. Just obsessed with, hey, I'm going to be the first to throw my tape in the trash can in the locker room, stupid stuff like that, where he was boxing people out to be able to be the first to do that. But Restrepo told me that he was contagious to be around. And at that point, it was prior to the Heisman vote. I have a Heisman vote. And so I said, hey, listen, I've got to vote. Why, if you were me, why would you vote for Cam Ward? And he told me, he said, you know what? Men lie, women lie, numbers never lie. Look at these numbers and tell me that Cam Ward did not turn this entire program around when he got here. He is a difference maker. And then my take on actually meeting with Cam was, he was arrogant, but arrogant's not quite the right word. It was arrogant, but in a really likable way. And I feel like we Titans fans have kind of seen that through his interactions, during his pro day with Brian Callahan and everybody. It was more confidence than arrogant, but it was it was all right there. You know, he articulated himself well. Like, I didn't walk away from there saying, like, okay, this kid is going to absolutely nail media sessions every time, right? Like, I didn't walk away being like, oh, he's going to be a media darling or anything like that. But I walked away from talking to him thinking, okay, this is a self-made kid who has tremendous family support, who have helped him to earn everything he's gotten. And he takes pride in that. He takes pride in the support. He's extremely loyal, a really good teammate who propped up his receivers, which we saw some of the receiving corps and some of his surrounding staff there at Miami, like not top of the line, right? But the entire conversation, he was propping up those that he said made him better and is why that they were winning. And I felt he was open to teaching and training and all of that because of his path and where he came from. And the demeanor on the sideline that I talked about, and I kind of compared to Will Levis, like during that moment, no emotion, nothing. I think I even did a report during the broadcast of like, dude seems made for these moments, you know, ice water through his veins. And you guys know me. Perhaps I am a little emotional. I've run red a bit, right? Some could say, I don't know. But like, I almost wanted more out of him in that moment. But when there was more out of him, when he did gather his team around and was like, final drive, here's our chance kind of thing, I saw in that moment his teammates respond to him, even though he didn't say much all game. Like, it wasn't like he was a hype man in his teammate's face or whatever. I almost wanted more emotion and more of that out of him, but that's not his style. And that's probably a good thing. Ramon can probably hit on that more so from an NFL standpoint when you're in those moments with a bunch of professionals. You know, sometimes you don't want a rah-rah guy. But I felt like he could handle any moment, and his teammates still responded to him in that moment, even though he wasn't always in their face, rah, rah, let's go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Total sense.
And that's what my next question was. Don Davenport joined us in RKW. So he's been like that, I think, his whole like life, career, right? I mean, he's just been that steady guy. You're not going to see much emotion. You did the game at Washington State in 2022 up in Pullman when they played UW and Michael Penix Jr. at that.
Yes.
Do you remember talking to Cam in the production meetings? Because I'm interested if there was ever a change even, you know, from 2022 to then when you covered that game just last year.
No, you know what's funny? We did not talk to him, and I don't know why.
Interesting.
I don't remember why. Yeah, but we did talk to Penix.
Yep.
But for some reason, we did not speak to him. And I don't even remember. God, that feels like forever ago. And it was so dang cold. At that game. I've never, it was miserably cold. It was at night. It was just.
Carrier Dome was much better weather is what I'm hearing.
Right.
They said it was just so it was to affect your warm heart, Babs. That's all it was.
And I told them on the show, I said she might not remember that because it was so cold, but they blew out. That's when Washington went on to, I think they played in the semis that year, or it was.
Yeah.
So Michael Penix Jr., they blew out Washington State, but Cam Ward
had a great.
Yeah, he had a great game. Cam Ward actually played really good. It was the defense. But, okay, I was just curious as if you had a time to talk to him. But clearly, there's been growth, right? Like, since then. When it comes to the turnovers, Dawn, that's, I think, the question you still have about him is some of the, fumbles that he's had along his career, some of the turnovers. What makes you think that can be cleaned up here without taking away, like, who he is, how he plays the game?
Well, first of all, it was better this past year, right? I mean, and I think that that's what you need to look at too. And also, I mentioned the willingness to learn and be taught. Like, I mean, I don't want to use the word gunslinger because I don't think it's accurate, but he definitely takes risks. But that is a part of his game, and you want that a little bit, right? You don't want a Marcus Mariota where they're like trying to tell him you've got to pull the trigger, like you got to take some shots, you got to take some chances. I mean, I think that was half the problem with Mariota is he would never do that, And so you definitely, I think, want to say whoa instead of go with a quarterback from a mentality standpoint there. But I think what you can look at is how much better he was this year at Miami than he has been maybe in the past. And then I also worked a North Texas game. Eric Morris is the head coach at North Texas, which he's going to join us on Monday. But he's the one that recruited Cam to Incarnate Word. So he's the one that found him, 0-star guy, whatever. And he talked a lot about his want to learn, his want to get better, his come to coaches and be like, hey, I have this issue or my stats show this, what do I need to do better? How can I fix this? And I think that's been a part of him and his game, the entire career. And I think that's huge. So I think you look at it that way. You look at a guy like Callie, who has dealt with a rookie quarterback with talent before and knows kind of how to handle that. And so I think that there's going to be times probably where you're going to be like, why did he make that throw? Why did he attempt that? There's going to be turnovers. Titans fans are going to have to live with them early, but I think he's a guy that will sit there and learn and get better and make better decisions once he's really in it. And Mario Cristobal, I actually went back and listened to the actual conversation we had with Mario prior to that game. And one of the things he said was, here's the other thing he has. And he pointed to his head and he said, he's got the brain. Yep. He's smart. He loves to learn, and he will absolutely wow people with that aspect of him as a person. So to your question, Kayla, I think that there will be moments probably where coaches and Titans fans are like, why? But I also think he showed progress this last year at Miami from a turnover standpoint, and that he's willing to learn and get better.
Oh, gosh.
The pregnant pause from Ron Foster.
That was a long pause.
That was a long pause right there. You got to lay the red carpet out for Babs. I already threatened her, and now I got to make it up to her. Sorry, Babs.
Yeah. Why are you threatening me? I'm not a morning person. I'm a hot mess. I can't keep a schedule.
So he gave you hour 4.
I know. But Babsy, when it comes down to talking to him too, some people, have that chip on their shoulder, but they don't like to talk about it. While I was playing, I hated it. Oh, you were undrafted. Yeah, I know that. Shut up already. Is that where he is when a lot of folks mention okay, you were a 0-star. Does he hold on to that? Or is it, no, you better respect who I am right now. I was that person and you didn't notice me. Now you have to notice me. Is that his mindset?
It did not come off to me as he was this ultra, I have this massive chip on my shoulder, I'm coming at you to prove you, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't over the top to where I was like, oh, this dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talking to, just to put in comparison with one of his teammates, Restrepo, Restrepo is that chip on the shoulder. Listen, I had to work hard for everything in my life to get chances, blah, blah, blah. He thrives on that. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like Cam Ward thrived on that. I felt like he was kind of over it. Hey, look what I've shown you now. I don't need the chip on the shoulder thing to fuel me. I just think it's his mentality, that dog mentality that fuels him. And I don't think it's fueled by people doubting him. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It does.
And I kind of like that.
Yeah, it is. It's a great place to be when you can recognize where you are and just, hey, look, that was just a part of my journey. And in that too, Babs, the Titans are picking number 1 for a reason. One, the team was what you needed to be last year. And your opinion on what you've seen from him, talk to him, and the folks that's been around him now, is he the guy for this franchise to finally get it right? Because it's one thing to be competitive and just be an NFL team. But I think fans are just tired of that. And it seems like the biggest hiccup has been, finding the right quarterback. Is Cam, in your opinion, the guy that fits what the Titans need in this current era that they're in?
Great question. 100%. Yes, I believe that. And don't pull the whole, oh, this is such a weak quarterback class BS with me, because guess what? You get the number 1 quarterback in this class, and it's Cam Ward, and I think he can transform a franchise. And it might take a while. Titans fans are going to have to be patient, but I'll tell this Mario Cristobal story too. Cristobal is not the easiest coach to play for, right? He's demanding. People can say he's a jerk. he loves to work. Like, he loves football. He loves to work, and he expects and demands a whole lot from his players. And he was amazed at the competitive makeup of Cam Ward. Called it the best of the best that he's been around from a competitive standpoint, the flat out best of the best. And you got to remember, he's had the Justin Herberts, and he even mentioned Ray Lewis. Wow. I mean, Ray Lewis, Ramon, you know Ray Lewis, like, he's putting this guy's competitiveness in the same boat as Ray Lewis. Because remember, Cristobal was at Miami back in the day when they were really good. So, but this is why I think he's the right guy for the franchise, for any franchise really, to help turn it around. This was the quote that Cristobal gave me. He said, he's a demanding SOB. He really is. But he demands as much or more from himself. He wants to win like no other. And the real good ones are uncomfortable to be around sometimes because they're restless. They don't care about anything but winning, and that's him. But he also said he can quickly go to likable and laughing and a great teammate, and everybody loves him. But when it comes to competitiveness, he's that. So because of that, yeah, the uncomfortable to be around sometimes, I can see where, okay, to me, that's a next level comment about building and leading, and that's what he has.
For sure.
Right? So that's all of that.
Yeah.
Seeing his demeanor and his skill set and his arm and what he's able to do. And yes, they're going to have to refine his footwork, but isn't that every single quarterback? Yeah. So all of that. But then it's really funny. This is totally random, but so I'm working a UFL game this weekend, and Mike Nolan is the head coach of Michigan. So I'm working with Tess and Jordan Rogers, and so I had asked Mike Nolan, because he's been in the NFL for years, right? Like, this is his, okay, now I want to give back and help develop guys, kind of role in his life now. That's why he's in the UFL. But so I asked him his favorite, like, draft memory from when he was with franchise. Now, he talked about picking Ed Reed with the Ravens and, the talk behind the scenes about that. But then he was also with Green Bay he was a part of the draft when they went Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers. And he was like, now Alex Smith was a good quarterback, right?
Right.
But it was funny because Jordan Rogers, Aaron Rodgers' brother, was talking about Aaron Rodgers when he came out for the draft, how he used to hold the ball like up at his head. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so and I was like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And Mike Nolan was like, that was crazy. Who taught him that? Da, 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 da. But I'm like, you're talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback who, coming out of the draft, had fundamental or technique or whatever, some kind of issues, and was passed over for Alex Smith. And he held the ball at his head, So I'm like, every single quarterback at some point has something that they're going to have to get better at and fix. So that'll be the case with Cam from a fundamental technique, probably footwork standpoint. Ramon, you can speak more to that. But yeah, but I also feel like he's a kid that's willing to learn and get better and be taught. So
I love it.
I think he can transform.
It's good perspective from 3HL's Don Davenport, who has been on the Cam Ward train along with Caleb from the very beginning. Don, where are the 3HL today? Obviously, draft day edition of 3HL. Do you have any preview of what to expect today leading up to Titans radio draft coverage?
Yes, we'll have Rhett B on in the 3 o'clock hour. We'll have Thomas Dimitrov, who, yes, is a phenomenal evaluator, too. We'll have him on in the 5 o'clock hour, just right there before the draft. So it should be good. And looks like Cam Ward's pick. How exciting is this?
I love
Let's go.
That's crazy.
Fantastic.
You didn't mention me.
Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy. You didn't mention me,
I
Babs.
forgot. Oh, that's
See?
what's that guy?
Zeph, when you call Ramon today, expect him to pick up on maybe the 4th or 5th ring. Maybe not the first one.
I'm the sweat, Zeph.
Oh, yeah, we got Ramon on too. Yeah,
I love it.
I
love it. Don Davenport,
So funny.
Love you, Babs.
noted non-morning person and ESPN's Don Davenport. Thank you, Don.
love y'all.
Tell
See ya.
Travis we said what up.
All right.
I will.
There is Don Davenport with us here this morning. Great perspective. Good stuff.
Yeah, I love the stories from Cristobal.
Really good.
Because he is a difficult guy in some, ways in terms of coaching. So to come from him, like that type of competitiveness of who Cam Ward is, it's impressive.
Sounds like Cam going to be applying pressure.
Yeah.
No doubt. 615-737-1045. When we come back, I've got a best bet for you. If you want to gamble on the NFL draft, I'm going to give you one half-unit play that I would do tonight for the NFL draft next.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
RKW 104.5 The Zone, brewed by Scooters Coffee, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. I need to fill in Justin on my feeling about this song. Get
Just
loud.
reminding everybody to tighten up.
Oh, this song was retired after touchdowns. It's not your fault. I've never filled you in on
not your fault,
my
Justin.
visceral reaction for this song.
But it's
Would Cam Ward's version be better?
let's go. I love that.
That was him on the
him?
Twitch stream.
Wow.
I love it.
Oh,
His immediate fandom of the Tennessee Titans.
I knew I was getting easily $28 million. I said, too. You hear me?
I love the intensity
with
behind it, though. Like, it was like, tighten up.
I want to congratulate Tyler Lockett this morning. He just became a top 5 receiver in the NFL
Yeah, he did.
Wait.
I'm trying to.
because he's a Titan. Cam Ward last week on his Twitch stream
That's
was
right.
asked who's top 5 receivers in the NFL, just listed the Titans receiver room. So congratulations to Tyler Lockett on now becoming a top 5 receiver in the NFL.
Traylon Burks, wide receiver, too.
I bet he's gotten a lot of tips about Tyler Lockett from Quandre Diggs, because Quandre Diggs was his longtime teammate up there. And
Yeah, that's right.
I bet you
Gotten
got
a lot of what from him?
tips from, from his cousin Quandre, because obviously Lockett and him, good buddies up there in Seattle.
I see what you're
so,
saying now.
yeah.
For sure.
I was doing a little TikTok scroll in the break that I often do, and I saw Ryan Russillo say, would you take this trade? And it was the Titans trading their next 3 first-round picks for Bo Nix. And said, who says no? The Titans.
We say
The Titans say no. The Broncos would say yes to that. The Titans say no.
I'm sure you're a nice human being, but you acting real.
Ryan, respectfully stick to NBA podcasting, please. Thanks so much.
Nobody's asking for you to
What
throw
are
it
you
out there right
doing?
there.
Wild.
Like, it's already wild enough with the stuff we're hearing,
Wild.
like the day of the draft. We don't need to hear that.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
We're good on
we're
everything else.
I have a best bet for you tonight.
Okay.
Again, gamble responsibly. Gamble what you are willing to pay that you won't miss. Always the disclaimer I like to give people. If you think you're not going to miss $5, then maybe $5 you can do. I would sprinkle a half a unit on Shedeur Sanders to be drafted by the Browns and Giants. I believe the intel, or maybe the buzz that is now correcting back to the Steelers maybe wanting to trade out of the 21st pick, get their second-round pick back that they lost in the DK Metcalf trade, and not take Shedeur Sanders. And I think the Browns and or Giants are moving back into the first round to take a QB tonight. That is my prediction of something that is going to happen this evening. So I'm going to put a half unit, if I were you, on Shedeur to the Giants and Browns.
If I could, I'd throw a couple dollars in on that, too. I'm going to be quite honest with you. That's one I'd be willing to just.
Because you're going to get plus 500 odds on both of them. That's $5 to win 25. That's dinner. You can order delivery to watch the NFL draft if you're not heading to Nissan Stadium.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you get some weekend money with that one right there. Light work.
That's one drink on Broadway, the $20 you'll make. Plus tip.
Plus tip.
Yeah.
Plus a bicycle ride.
No, then we're talking about we're going to have to hit on 2 bets to have a bicycle ride in there, too.
Well, just
Or a
double
scooter.
up the money then. How about that? What'd you say? You said have a
$10 then.
number
Oh, okay.
you're willing to lose.
That's
just
right.
in case.
10 to win 50 if you want 2 drinks on Broadway. Sam gets the final call of the morning. Hey, Sam.
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Great.
Good.
I'm calling in because I feel like I've been listening to y'all enough times throughout the week. Today, I just feel like all we're doing is settling on Cam Ward and telling ourselves how we can say he's so great. And I'm just like, there's a lot of great quarterbacks next year. There's a lot of great NFL veterans that are sitting around, and you got players who transcend the sport. Like I'm sorry, I'm a huge Travis Hunter guy, but I'm like, look, you're never gonna get a player like that. A guy who probably at this point has a chip on his shoulder who's going to want to prove something to everybody because everybody's already overpassed him.
I'm with that.
I get what you're saying, Sam. I think a lot of people have talked themselves into Cam Ward. Yes.
Sure.
That's my fear.
Here's the other part, though, too. The team has told you what they're doing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
The second they signed Brandon Allen, they told you what they were doing.
Like, whether he's good or not, like what we're talking about is what the team is presenting to you, Sam. Like, I know where you're coming at because, I was team trade back for months.
Me too.
But the team told me not directly, but everything they've done is they're going with Cam Ward. So that's the other part of this conversation.
I also think they vetted him enough to know, like, there's some smart people on that in that front office, guys. You got to realize, too, they upped their front office as well. And there's guys from all over that they've added. And there's different, viewpoints. And for them to all to come to the conclusion that we're going to stick and pick, give them some hope, or give them some credit, right? We'll see if it works, but I kind of trust that they went through the process.
I also don't think you can look at next year's class beyond just Arch Manning. We never know. Next year's class is always the greatest class in the history of football. And spoiler alert, this time next year, we're going to be talking about, the 27 class looks awesome. And then the 27, oh my gosh, the 28 class is going to be great. Like this time last year, we thought Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers were locks to go in the top 5.
Sure did.
And Quinn is going to go on day 3, and Carson Beck is the quarterback at Miami. So you never know. I don't think you can think too much about next year's quarterback class.
Got dumped, too.
Who did?
Carson Beck. She's talking about the Cavender's sister.
Carson Beck.
Yeah, he did get dumped.
Carson Beck is like the anti-Cam Ward for Kayla. She loves Cam Ward,
guys.
and then all of that love is just hatred for Carson Beck for some reason.
I'm sorry, Carson
I don't
Beck.
really get it.
I just don't like him.
Okay. Well,
that's fair sometimes.
Something rubs me wrong.
he played against our teams a lot, and I'm good. I'm kind of neutral on Carson Beck.
Sometimes it's gut.
Well, that's the way to end the show this morning. Cam Ward will be a Titan tonight. We'll talk about it a lot tomorrow. We will have Brent Hubbs on the show. We will have Ron Slay in the 4th hour of the show. Lots to get to tomorrow, including our top targets for day 2 of the NFL draft. We'll set the table for that as well. Cam Ward is coming to town, isn't he, Ramon?
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is, man. But remember, at all times, whether you like the pick, love the pick, or just hate it too, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.